This is a badass place, man. I really dig your shop. I really dig it.
It's been a long time in the progress. I did most all the work myself. Certain things I had to hire out, the framing, electrical, cabinet install, but all the finish work, all the insulation, all the preparation, that's me.
Cool. Did you put the cabinets up before you did the tongue and groove?
Nope. No. So that's OSB behind everything. And that's all screwed in instead of just nail. So tons of screws, a little bit more solid, I think.
Right.
So I wanted the OSB behind there, so all this cedar planking wasn't just those little 4-inch wide things and 1/4 inch thick. I mean, you can push on the wall and it's not going to break something. Mm-hmm. So no, I did OSB, and then all the cabinets got hung up over that OSB. And then I also didn't want all this wasted space behind these with all that cedar.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So because that would have just been huge. Mm-hmm. And then trying to make sure that they ended right at the countertop when these guys came to install this. Mm-hmm. No, didn't make any sense. So no, cabinets first and then all that over.
That's great.
Top of everything else. But
yeah, it's a big space. It's a space you can grow into. Like mine is smaller than this. It's still a good sized space, but it's like you rapidly start growing into it and you're like, oh man, I think I might need to expand a little bit, especially like doing studio stuff like this. Mm-hmm. All right, this is really good.
Just like with buying gun safes, they always say buy something much larger than you think you're gonna need, and even that's, you're gonna fill that up and need to buy another one.
Yeah.
So with Jesse and I both reloading, doing stuff like where we had things in the house, just the one press, and I was trying to rotate in and out of that thing. We're shooting way too much. So
yeah.
I mean, this is all planned, before we got into the PRS so heavy, whatever, just because I wanted something really, really nice, have some room to come out here and work and not feel like I'm cramped working out of a closet.
Yep. Mm-hmm. I'm at that point in time too in my life where it's like, if it takes me longer than 5 minutes to find anything that I need, actually, if it takes me longer than like 30 seconds to find what I need, I start getting irritated. Because as we get older, we're like, hey, time is the most valuable thing that we have.
Yes.
And if you start budgeting your time out and you're running over budget because you can't find something that you need, you're just like, this is ridiculous.
I'm the exact same way. Even when I'm like in the house cooking or something or another, somebody puts a pot in a different cabinet or something, I'm like,
why is it here?
Like, yeah.
Why is it?
It doesn't get shit, there's instant tiny little irritant that it doesn't need to be.
Sure.
But
I think though too, like, especially, given your background, from the military standpoint, especially being a pilot, everything is very much in line, in order. Your flow checks have to be everything has to be exactly so that you can expect when the unexpected happens, you know exactly what to do and where to go to fix it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and checklists are, you fly and die by the checklist.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, everything's ran by that. Mm-hmm. So,
and there's what is the saying? It's like a checklist is only as good as someone who follows it, right? And so you've got to be able to follow the checklist. And I think that's huge. We were talking a little bit yesterday about the mentorship program that we're running at Modern Day Sniper for the year. And the overarching theme is the mental game. Mm-hmm. Everybody's asking questions about the mental game. And even if they're not asking those questions yet, they're asking questions that are directly related to that. They just don't know it yet because they're not down far enough, down the road far enough yet. Yeah. So the mindset thing and looking at like watching people's videos and seeing how they execute their stage or seeing how they execute a specific drill, you can tell right away that they don't have a checklist. Mm-hmm. And so for us, it's really hard for us as shooters to have a checklist in your hand as you're going through it. Yeah. So there's memorization that needs to occur through drills and practical application to get that into your neural pathways.
Yep.
But even as a pilot, it's like, no matter how many times you do like a descent checklist, you're still pulling the checklist out and you're still going through all of the points on it to make sure that you don't miss something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So we don't have that luxury with us.
No. So reading Lanny Basham's book, Mental Management Systems, his, I forget the title of the book.
With winning in mind.
With winning in mind.
Yep.
Yep. There's a part in there, I'm pretty sure it says something about process is primary, having your processes. And shooting competitions, I've noticed where, say I'm the last shooter on a stage, most all my squad is already moving over to the next stage so they can start getting ready or whatever. And there's been times when I'm done shooting my stage, getting my brass, got all my stuff, I'm back in my pack, and I hear them starting the stage brief over on the next one. I'm like, fuck, hurry up, throw my crap in here and get over to there so I don't miss a stage brief or very much of it and start finding targets. It's those instances where I'm in a rush and I don't follow my processes right after shooting the stage that then it's like I'm up and I'm like, oh fuck, I forgot to top off my mag.
Yeah, you're not set up, right? You're not set up.
Yeah, you just kind of brain dump it. So I just kind of resorted to it. I don't care if I miss a stage brief. Somebody else is going to have to catch me up. I go through it, dump off all my spent brass, top off my mags, do a little, okay, whatever, whether I shot good or I shot bad. That's in the past. That's in the future. Get ready for that now. So top off mags, write down my score. In my matchbook, generally I have my drops and my wind that I'm expecting for the stage. So I can go through that and I'm like, that was good elevation, that was good elevation, that was good elevation. That last one I was tending just a little bit low, make a little note. And what is that yardage? So then if I get to the next stage or 2 or 3, if I have a similar yardage, I can refer to, okay, yeah, I was tending just a little bit low, expect that. Maybe not change anything right away, but if I'm tending low on the plate, okay, I'm tracking that elevation difference.
You're noting things that are gonna come to help you later on down the road during the day.
Yep. But taking care of all that before I even go to the next stage, then it gets it all out of my mind. I can get to the next stage, whole new game.
Yeah, it's I think part of this is the mental toll of the up and down, right? So
I always have that.
Right, it's a cycle, and so there's a long time in between the peaks of those cycles, right? And the trough is really long, and it's in that trough where I think you can majorly be distracted from other things going on, or if you're using the event as like as a social opportunity to hang out with your buds or something. That's how your attention can really wander super fast, and you don't even realize it, and then all of a sudden, oh, I'm up. But then you also ask yourself, okay, well, that particular type of shooter or individual that's there kind of already knows and expects that, right? Or they're doing the behavior unconsciously and they're bothered by it, but they don't really, they're maybe not serious enough to go, hey, I got to lock in and I got to find ways to keep my focus in that trough of downtime, because sometimes it could be like an hour between stages.
Yeah,
it just
absolutely.
depends, right?
Especially if there's like a target breakage, ceasefires call, go fix something or whatever. That's just like kind of get you out of that flow.
Yeah.
But yeah, for me, generally, I just try to help the squad what I can. I don't want to be on my binos the entire damn time.
Yeah.
But you got to be for quite a bit. One, just because it helps you build that mental process of target 1 is here, there's my target reference point, target 2 is here, there's my target reference point, target 3 is over here, target 4 or 5, et cetera, et cetera. Then when you get up to shoot, it's just like, there's 1, there's 2, there's 3, there's 4. And if you haven't been doing that, you'll know, okay, well, visually, 1's over there, 2's over there, 3, something like that, but you don't have that snap to it really quick and you know exactly where everything is, because that's all short-term memory.
Yes.
You don't need to like commit that to memory for
We're going to dump
2 years
that
later.
and go to the next one.
Short-term memory, going to memorize these things. When you're done with that gets flushed. Then you're getting ready for another short-term memory.
I equate a lot of that too to map study. That's one of my strengths, is that I can, I'm not worried about identifying TRPs, right? I'm pretty good at that based upon my background I don't know, that's ingrained in your brain at like such a young age in the pedigree that I come from, that it's just like, these are non-negotiable, All right. So I would assume the same thing as a Dustoff pilot, that you got to be able to look at a map, get an image of the terrain based upon your ingress and then egress, and kind of have that visual picture already in your mind of what to expect, because you're going to a location that you've probably never been to before, or you haven't spent a tremendous amount of time there. I mean, I'm spitballing, I don't know exactly, but I can assume that it's the same thing. Like, I got to be able to take a mental snapshot image of this map, and it's got to be in my short-term memory, but right now at the forefront, so that way I can extract the information I need to get my job done.
We didn't have that time. So just off where we're going from, you could be laying in your cot to hearing the call on the radio, medevac, 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 and you're jumping up and hauling ass to your aircraft. And depending on your duties within the aircraft, you might stop by the ready up room for finding, okay, you just get your critical information off the 9 line. It was first 4 or 5, whatever that you need to launch. Once you have that information, you're going.
Get airborne.
So generally the PC and the medic would stop by to know what to expect as a patient, litter, or the ambulatory, but all that information that they need to know. The regular pilot and the crew chief, they're hauling ass to aircraft to get that thing spun up. So we don't have time, like, where is this on a map, take a snapshot or anything like that. It's just get your ass up and get going. Your wheel's up and they're plugging in Greek coordinates for where you're to.
You're probably reading, you're in flight is what I mean. Like, in flight, you're en route, right? Basically, the general direction where you're going. In route.
We didn't refer to maps.
Didn't refer to maps at all. Okay. No. So you're just flying straight to the grid based upon the terrain and analyzing that as you go.
Yeah. So we're in Iraq, and what do you got for terrain relief?
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. Fucking nothing. Yeah. A lot of what we did at that time was we did a lot of blood runs. Getting blood from one place, taking it to another place. Patient needed it over there. Blood from here, blood from there. We only had like 1 or 2 POIs. The point of injury that we actually had to go to, I wasn't on any of those, but generally we weren't looking at a map like, where's the road intersection quite so much. Yeah, they would, but just as a quick kind of reference, we're not really studying terrain or anything like that. It's mostly, are there wires?
Yeah.
Not a whole lot of that.
Obstacles, hazards for the aircraft.
Yep. How close are we to a city, et cetera, et cetera. But again, a lot of it was landing pad to landing pad for most of what we did.
Got it.
At that time.
Okay. So I mean, looking at being a pilot was, especially an instrument pilot, I had a leg up because I already had a really solid base of land navigation. And I was already I already understood azimuths and bearings and headings and like a VOR was not, like, once I understood, I was like, wait a minute, explain that to me. And then they explained it. I was like, oh, okay, that makes total sense, right? It's just a good solid baseline. But then being able to look at a map and be able to take the snapshot and say, these are important terrain features. It's the exact same thing as studying terrain. And studying terrain for just targets is one, but then being able to study terrain and look at it from wind patterns and airflow and all that, that's another level.
Yeah. So when we did our training, like here in Montana, we got mountains all over the place. And for that, then we generally have an idea, because we live around here, where the mountain ranges are, what's the route that we're going to end up taking, where's the low, and weather assessments, things like that. Yeah, we're looking at maps like that, but deployment wasn't quite that big of an issue. Did you ever feel like flying instruments is just like a low-tech video game?
Totally.
Dude, I'm just making these needles line up and all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah.
Move these to make these needles do what I want them to do.
I got to say, I was pretty spoiled. My instrument, I did it in a glass cockpit. So I learned on steam gauges, but I finished everything off in a Garmin G1000. And this is probably just coming up on 20 years ago. So yeah, I flew in like 2007, like 19, 18 years ago, something like that. Okay. Yeah, about 2007 to about 2009 timeframe. But the G1000 makes everything super easy. Like if you get lost flying in a G1000 equipped aircraft, like you probably shouldn't be flying. It's pretty straightforward, but like you have all the information right in front of you, right? You have, you could have 3 VORs on one HSI if you wanted. And then I can put 2 RNAV bugs on there, and I could put 2 DME bugs on there too. So I could have all kinds of stuff going on. Like I knew exactly where you're at. The thing that I had the most trouble with was holds. Like, like establishing a hold, entering all the different, and doing all the math. And that was tricky. That took me some time. I spent a lot of time in the sim trying to figure that out. Because it was very useful for us. Flying in Seattle airspace, you could get put into a hold at any time. Right. Just, hey, park it, hang out. I mean, I was in a hold once for like an hour and 15 minutes.
Oh, Jesus.
I was literally about to piss in the cockpit. I kept looking at my CFI. I'm like, dude, this is not good. I'm telling you right now, this is not good. We were only planning for like an hour, 2 hour long cross country. So we're in this plane, and I'm like frantically looking around for bottles. There was no bottles. It was just like, this could get bad, man. Like, I'm literally about to whip it out and piss on the floorboards here. And then finally, the ATC came, and they gave me vectors for Boeing Field.
I love getting vectors, man.
Yeah, vectors are great. Just tell me what to do, and I'll go fly that. I learned a ton with that, though. It was a lot of fun, and it was a different way to be mentally engaged, right? So I would fly, once I would get my ticket, I would purposefully go to Seattle and check the airplane out during IMC and fly single pilot IFR, just because I liked the challenge of it. Because you're in that airspace, you're switched on like the whole time.
That's one of those biggest things you had to learn in flight school is, if you're behind the aircraft,
you're done.
You're fucked.
You're turbo. And it's bizarre too. Like you go from one airframe, like going from a single engine to a multi-engine. Okay, we're flying approaches. We're flying ILS approaches at 90 knots. But then you jump to a twin, and you're flying an approach at 120 knots. Just that 30 knot difference is enough to throw you way behind the plane, right? Because things are just happening much faster, and you're just like, whoa. Pump the brakes. It's like, man, there's no pump in the brakes.
And this is where you got to be prepared. You know what you're doing. Things are in order, and you're like, okay, this is where I got to be, and everything's well ahead of the aircraft.
So like bringing that back to students and watching them navigate different stages, and every one they're doing something just a little bit different. Like you pick up the little things like, okay, he put his mag in, like the find it, range it, shoot it type stuff, right? So as soon as you locate your targets and you mark them down, even the differences in how they locate and mark their targets are inconsistent from stage to stage to stage. So that's one thing that's probably costing you mental time, because you're realizing, oh, wait a minute, I forgot something. And then you're falling 1 or 2 steps behind the power curve. And then the next step is guy builds his shooting position on one stage, but then realizes he doesn't have any ammo in the gun. So he's got to go back to get his ammo. But then the next stage, he remembers his ammo right after he finishes glass and targets. He pulls the mag out and inserts it into the gun, but then he reverts back to the other way for stage 3 type things. So those little tiny things that seem super nitpicky, that's our job as coaches to point that out and go, hey, like your system is deficient. We need to work on your system.
And what would help those shooters is to either in their matchbook or some sort of journal thing is, on those stages where they had some hiccups, don't worry about, I failed this, I did do that right, writing down all the bad things that you did, but note, I built my position very efficiently, and I was on glass really fast. The target 3, I had a very good target reference point that I was able to find that target super fast. All those positive kind of things, because then that's going to help reinforce in your mind, I did good. Doing good is what I like to do. I'm more likely to repeat doing those good things.
That's Lanny Basham's book, right? So that's the self-image of, because it's so easy for us to be ruthlessly hard on ourselves to the point where it's like, self-deprecating thoughts and negative verbal negative reinforcement of self. where it's like, man, like if you really knew what that was doing to your psyche,
Yeah.
you wouldn't do that to yourself.
But it's hard to get out of, right?
It's absolutely hard to get out.
Like, so, I mean, since I started reading his book a year or two ago, I'm still trying to teach myself how to do this. And when you recognize those thoughts coming into your head, you need to have the mental awareness that that's happening and change course.
Yeah.
Within yourself, because nobody else knows what's going on in your head. They can't come up.
They don't.
Hey, stop thinking that.
Yeah.
Think this instead.
Yeah.
Like that. That's 100% on the individual to know what they're thinking. Realize this isn't helping my self-image at all. Let's change that.
It's actually negatively impacting it.
Yep.
Yeah. Badly.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And so especially you take the younger shooters. They're still growing into this thing, trying to develop those thought processes. If we can get our younger shooters at an early age to start focusing on all the positive kind of thing.
Yeah.
Instead, with how they talk to themselves, with how they approach things.
Huge. One of my buds that helps us in classes, he was talking to students. His name is Jason Berklio, and very stoic individual, very, very proficient. He lives for backcountry, backpack mountain hunting. Very successful because he puts the time in, and he's telling students, listen, that external monologue that you're voicing is going to become your internal dialogue, right? That's all your brain's going to focus on, because your psyche doesn't know the difference between reality.
Yep.
Right? What you see and all of the stimulus that you take in, and then you close your eyes and you start talking to yourself. Well, your psyche doesn't, okay, we're just removing one of the senses. That's all we're doing. You can still negatively reinforce your mind.
Yeah.
Even though you're not taking in the visual stimulus, right? So your brain doesn't know the difference.
Yeah. I was reading something on social medias a week or something ago. It was talking about somebody's doing some studies where for athletes, performers, if they would actually start writing down before they do things in the past tense as if they already did it.
Okay,
So
like a visualization.
Yep. I shot this particular match, ended up winning, or shot this match and I cleaned 5 of 10 stages. I cleaned 8 of 10 stages. Those things, as if it's past tense, are supposed to help develop those memories in your mind as if you already did that. You can perform at that level. So it's going to be like you to go there and do that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Instead of, I'm so nervous. There's these other great shooters here, and how do I stack up against them? Oh, fuck, that guy's here. Well, he's going to get first place. That means I'm automatically relegated to second. That's bullshit.
Yeah, you can't.
Everybody can make a mistake, and everybody can do really, really well. There's so many factors that come into how that all plays out.
Right?
Inside your own mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I'm not going to say that everything's 100% mental, because you got to have your technical proficiency. You're technically and tactically proficient, right?
Yep.
All that stuff has to come in mind, but your mental awareness and how you're processing things, especially when something goes bad.
Right. What do we do? What's our process when something doesn't go as planned?
Yep.
Well, you have to have a process in place to fall back to, right? I recently was listening to a podcast on leadership, and this individual we were talking about yesterday, Pete Blaber, was talking about, don't plan, prepare, right?
Yeah.
Don't plan, prepare.
Yeah.
Like if you're planning, and this makes total sense, right? If you're planning, you become, it's very easy to become married to that. Right? Because you came up with it, or maybe you and 2 or 3 other individuals came up with it, and everybody's like all around, yep, that's good. Roger, this is what we're doing. But if you don't have an overall sense of preparedness for the unknown, and as soon as the plan gets put into place and begins to be executed upon, things are not going to go as planned, right? Murphy's always going to show up. And then if you're not prepared, then now we're in trouble.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, so is it Mike Tyson said something, if everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face? Right.
Yep.
Yeah. I got my plan until you punched in the face. I missed that first shot. My wind call wasn't what I expected. How do you handle that now?
Right, because that'll throw you right back on your heels.
Yep.
Right. So interesting that you bring that up, because Francis was looking at some of the footage that I had we shot the lead farm match together. Mm-hmm. And we did a little match debrief afterwards, and he immediately asked me a question. He was just like, your shot cadence is very, very consistent, but I feel like you could speed it up by like 1.5 seconds to maybe even 2 seconds. And I smiled, and I was just like, that's exactly what I'm working on. Mm-hmm. And he's like, well, what's the deal? Like, where are you at with that? And I'm like, well, I'm really taking just a little too much extra time to make sure that I'm not going to miss that shot.
Yeah.
Right. I'm taking a little bit too much time to make sure I don't miss that shot.
Yeah. Like in what way? So are you doing that? Is it you're looking at mirage? Are you trying to refine your wind hold? Or making sure that your position?
Yeah, making sure that my position is good. So that way I don't, it's more of like I'm second guessing myself. Right. I'm second guessing the stability of the sight picture to say, okay, it's good to release this shot. Right. Yeah, so that's really, I think that's what the biggest thing is. And part of it is like, I also don't want to miss. Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm working on reframing that thought process to, and not anticipate a miss, but to be completely prepared for it when or if it does happen. Right. So the opening shot of the stage is the most important shot on the stage. So that's the shot that I'm going to take a little bit longer time on to make sure that I have a good solid position. I've got a good connection to the rifle to make sure that I'm picking up everything that I need to see in order to fix what I need to fix. Yep.
You've probably heard what is the 5 P's, 6 P's or something or another. The proper prior planning prevents piss poor performance. 7 P's.
Yep. 7 P's.
I want to add an 8th one to that.
What's the 8th one?
Proper prior planning and preparation prevent piss poor performance.
Proper prior planning and preparation prevents piss poor performance. Yeah.
You got to have
There you go. Yeah, that's probably why you were smiling when I was mentioning the preparation with the planning. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, you got to have that preparation in there, whether that's what all's in your pack, whether that's you're prepared with, exactly where the targets are at.
Yeah.
You're prepared with, your mags are topped off, you got your spare, you got your primary. You're prepared with a couple different options for wind call. Like the wind is really gusty. Here's my low value. Here's my high value. Someplace in between. And then what is it doing right when you get on stage? Is it at the low? Is it at the high? Do you think it's going to be the average?
Yep.
You take your best guess.
Indeed.
I usually don't do a whole lot of wind brackets. I'm doing a lot of
2 to 3.
Not usually. I got target 1. I'm going to go this. I think. Target 2 is going to be this, target 3 is this, target 4 is going to be this. That's usually just my thoughts. And then target 1, I get up there and I always make my final decision on what I'm going to hold. Like as soon as I get on glass, I'm looking at that target. And that's when just my intuition starts kind of taking over. Does my initial wind call still feel right looking through or not? And usually when I start second guessing that intuition, that's usually when I'm off plate.
Yeah.
But when the wind is gusting like that, it's so hard to even have a decent wind bracket for me, because with the 308 that I've been shooting, the shit changes so fast.
Yeah, and it's big, right? It's a big change.
It's the slightest wind speed, it's the slightest wind angle, and things are all over the place. So I have had like 4 columns, even up to 5 columns at one time. And I can be on the max one for the first target, go to the next target, and now I'm clipping an edge.
Yeah.
Now I'm dropping a wind bracket. Now I just clip that edge again. It's just like,
it's a game.
Holy shit. And then I'm trying to refer, and that chews up time. So I usually just try and give it what's the wind doing right now? Looking at the wind flags. All right, let's give her hell. And I know I'm probably going to go this, take a look at it. Yep, that still feels right. Send it. Okay, plate rocked a little bit more than I thought, onto the next target or the next shot, whatever the case may be. And then I'm just progressively trying to adjust.
You're following the bullet.
Trying to follow the bullet, yeah. But then also throw in the complexity when you have targets 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the wind is right here. You're holding left wind on this one. You know you need right wind over there, and someplace in the middle, you're just like, shit.
Well, you remember the lead farm, the TYL stage? That one was, I couldn't, I mean, I was incredulous. I mean, we all want to believe that every bullet we fire is going to connect with the target. We should be thinking that. I ended up cleaning that stage, which was, I mean, the conditions that I shot it in were, you know, it was switchy on and off. And I'm like, well, I got targets on the right side. I got targets on the left and in depth. Yeah. All right, man. Like, I'm just going to roll with whatever the bullet tells me. And I'm just going to be checking the mirage back and forth. And lo and behold, I end up cleaning that with like half MOA targets all the way out to like 980 yards, which was badass. It's a testament to the equipment, right? It's a testament to, the PRS now is like, you know, bench rest and F-class. It's more of the test of the gunsmith or the shooter's ability to build the rifle and to be able to create the proper recipe of ammunition to get the results you're looking for, with marksmanship kind of lower on the end of the totem pole there. But then you also have wind reading in there too, which is massive, right, for those two games. But PRS is a blend of all of that shit now. You're shooting rifles that are actually heavier than bench rest or F-class guns. I was talking to Eric Cortina. I was like, because I didn't know. I thought that those guns were 25 plus pounds. And he's like, no, man, we have a weight limit. They can't be over this much weight. And I was like, oh, okay, that's something new. And they're shooting short action 7mm. Okay. A lot of those guys are shooting short action 7mm. So they have recoil to deal with as well. And so the dynamic of getting the rifle to shoot well with that kind of recoil, you as the shooter, now fundamentals of marksmanship are really starting to go front and center with that. And PRS is just a blend of everything, right? So the rifles, everybody at that echelon is pretty much, or anybody who's chasing points or anybody who's attempting to be competitive, the gear is pretty much the same, right? It's pretty much the same. Okay. People they understand the benefit, or they understand the need to have a competent, qualified gunsmith cutting chambers, right? They understand that, hey, I've got to have, my circlet components has to be dialed to make this all work. So that way I can hit a half an MOA target at 800 yards with intention. Exactly. Right? So not out of chance, I'm saying I'm going to put a bullet in the middle of that target, and this is the wind call I'm going to use. Right. So the gear is there. Now it's like, okay, how do I continue to keep the gear running to its potential with me at the helm? Right. Or at the stick, whatever you want to call it. That's the game.
But then throw in your own performance that you got to have. It is mentally exhausting at the end of a 2-day match, and then factor in the driving back and forth if you drive. It's a drain on you.
Absolutely.
And to be able to keep that focus and manipulate all your equipment and stay tuned, like, it's work.
I think there's definitely something to be said for shooting like I've done a couple of the NRL Hunter matches where I was where I RO'd and I shot all 20 stages in one day. You say that and you're like, man, that's a grind. But actually, I feel like it's better because you get to get into a flow and you just get to go right. And you're just, now, if things start to crumble and fall apart on you halfway through the flow, we got to have those tools in place to get us back to where we need to be. But I actually kind of feel like it's more beneficial if that's your style, right? If that's your particular jam. That's another reason why I like the Steel Safari out there in New Mexico, because once you step off, unless there's a target failure, which is really rare. It's like if you pull a card at 8 o'clock in the morning, dude, you're done by 11:30.
Cool.
And so it's just like one after the other. There's really very minimal downtime. And in the downtime that you do have, if you're smart about it, you're like, okay, I can't see the targets, but I know that they're in this general direction. So what's the wind? Like I got to start, what's the wind doing? Looking around, and you're trying to make sure that you're capturing as much of this data as possible.
Yeah.
Because as soon as your brief is over, as soon as we're like, hey, this is a 1 position 6 target stage, or it's a 2 position 3 target stage, left, right, lateral limits, any questions, time starts now. That's how well that flows.
Yeah.
So there's no time whatsoever.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
You might ask a question or two, but there's really, what are you going to ask? Like, what questions are you going to ask? Like, is that really the left and right lateral limit? You know what I mean? Like, there's only so much you can do, which I kind of like, because it just forces you right into the mix.
Yep. But if you take that time, that downtime, and you're not looking at that, you're just like, I'm tired. I'm going to check my phone. You know, somebody texted me.
You're 2 steps back now.
Yeah. Drink some water and just like shutting down mentally. And then you get up, you're behind the plane.
Yeah, you're behind the plane. Big time. Big time.
Yeah.
And then you do that 2 or 3 stages in a row. You're like 2 steps behind, now 4 steps behind. And now we're getting the slinky effect that we've all experienced on ruck marches and stuff, where it's just like, hey, tighten it up, man.
Yeah.
You don't want to run? Okay, well then keep the pace.
Yeah. Yeah. So like for me, I'm trying to be at that elite level shooter, you know, game. When I go to a match, I'm there to work. And that's my job for those 2 days, 3 days. That's what I'm there to do. I'm not trying to be rude to anybody, but I'm generally there for a purpose.
Yeah.
And a purpose isn't to catch up on what's going on in social life.
Agreed.
You know, there's time for that some other time, but not right then.
For sure, man. No, I get that. And some people, like we were talking about earlier, some people are there to use it as a social opportunity, because they just want to engage with their friends and be around like-minded individuals and stuff. But then there's the other part of it where you do have shooters there that are very serious about this. This is a job. I either have for my own personal reasons, I'm here to perform for myself, or I'm here because I have sponsorships and there's other expectations that are on top of me.
Right.
It's very uncomfortable sometimes, right? So
Can be.
You know, it can be super uncomfortable. And you know, I've seen shooters that you look at them and you're going, are you actually still having fun? Right? Are you actually having fun?
Yeah.
And if you're not, you really need to think about, like, what are you doing and why are you doing this?
Right. But everybody views winning as having fun.
Exactly.
So if you're mentally prepared and you're focused on what you're there to do, higher chances that you're going to be shooting better scores, hence you're having more fun.
Yep.
Not mentally prepared, not engaged, not get up to the line, you're like, oh shit, which positions am I supposed to shoot from again? Oh fuck, I lost my first target.
Yep.
The stressors build up and you get a lower score than you wanted,
than
you expected.
Right.
Then you start getting frustrated.
Yeah.
And if you don't have a good way to flush that frustration, refocus, then it's just going to continue to build.
Yeah. What are the young kids are saying was crashing out. You're crashing out. Like people having meltdowns on the internet and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same thing, man. So like we just jumped right in, but we're here in Choteau.
Choteau. Yeah,
Choteau,
we don't really pronounce the T very hard. Choteau, almost like it's a D, but Choteau.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're here in Choteau, Montana.
Yeah.
At
little town.
CanChap and ScopeChap headquarters with Nick Gebhardt.
Yeah.
This is fun, man. I'm glad we were able to make this happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we were trying to make it happen last month in March, and I stepped on myself with scheduling because I super suck at it. And I was coming out here for Mountain State TAC Officer Association in Helena, which we do every year. I think this is my 7th year of doing it. So I always go down there and just do a week of training pro bono for those guys, because it's a smaller officer association, and they do everything that they can for their guys, which is awesome. Yeah. And for a lot of dudes in the law enforcement community, that's probably the only outside of their, organizational training that they're going to get all year.
Right.
So we're totally cool with making sure that we give the guys good training. Yeah. We wanted to just sit down with you and talk about, where you came from with your in your precision shooting journey and like what brought you to where you are today. Talk about where you're at in the PRS. We got a bullet in the background here. You won TAC class last season, so congratulations. That's awesome. That is super badass, because that's something that I think majority of people will shy away from. They're like, I don't want to shoot that big fat slow bullet. That's crazy, right? So, but that's what we all started with way back in the day.
Yeah.
So it totally can be done, clearly. So
grew up in Sydney, Montana, way over on the eastern side of Montana. Like we're like a couple of miles from the North Dakota border, right? Tiny little town. My parents are teachers. Mom and dad, they weren't shooters. They'd been hunting a time or two, but they weren't hunters per se. I got into kind of this path in my life because grade school, another kid moved to our town, I think from Alaska, and he and I like became like best friends. We're third grade, and his dad was the principal at the school that my mom was teaching at.
Okay.
So me and him like kicked off like, I don't know, we'd been pretty tight. So into G.I. Joes type of thing, and
You're an American hero.
Dude, man. Yeah, that's what it was all about.
It was all about.
Yeah.
Was it?
I mean, we had other stuff too, and G.I. Joe's is my thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, Transformers, whatever. But ever since I was third grade, I knew I was joining the Army when I graduated high school. That was my plan, right? And it never changed. Getting into the shooting specifically happened because of my buddy. His dad loved to hunt. That was a large thing that he did. Rifle hunting, bow hunting, bird hunting. He was a hunter. And so was my buddy then too. So the very first time I went hunting was with him and his dad and another friend of his dad's. I shot a nice whitetail buck and, like a 5x6, rack on this thing, and been into hunting ever since. I never shot another buck for probably another 10 years.
Right.
Because every time I'd see a buck, it was smaller than that one. And they're like, I'm not going to shoot I shoot a doe.
Right.
It just was that. But so I get to my sophomore year in high school. I'm into hunting. I'm using my mom's. She had a Savage bolt action 30-30. That was the rifle I used to kill my first deer, what I used for hunting. I wanted my own gun. And I've been reading other books about Carlos Hathcock, Chuck Mulhenny. I showed you a little sniper manual that I still had. I don't know where that came from, but I found it, whatever. It was in my possession somehow or another. I got hands on one. And so reading about all this stuff, they were shooting 308. The Army M24 was a long action Remington 700, but chambered for a 308. So they could upgrade to 300 Win Mag later on. I think they did warrant there eventually.
With the XM 2010.
Yeah. But so shooting 308, it had a 10 power scope on it. The Army's had the loophole, Marine Corps had the universal. So I knew all the stuff about these guns. I wanted to buy my own rifle. It had to be a 308. I needed a 10 power scope and figure everything else out. So I got a hold of our local town plumber. He was into rifle shooting. He did a lot of high power stuff, AR-15s and things. The family knew him just because he was the plumber in town. And anyway, there's some other friendship type stuff going on, but I told him I needed a job for the summertime. I was trying to save up money so I could buy my own rifle. I think that probably made him smile. He's like, I'll give this kid a job. He's wanting to buy a gun and stuff. So worked for him for the summer, saved up all my money, and my entire goal was to buy this rifle. So I did. It was a Winchester M70. It was the HBV, they called it at the time. 308, 26-inch heavy varmint barrel. I got a loophole 3.5 to 10, whatever scope, VX3 or Variax, whatever it was at the time. Just had a regular old duplex crosshair kind of a thing. Got the bases and the rings, bought a Harris bipod, had a sling. Man, I was in hog heaven. And then I got into reloading as well.
How old were you when this was all going down?
So sophomore in high school. So
okay,
16.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
We're doing the same thing at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. my dad had reloading equipment. So he had an RCBS Junior or something. He had the O-House little balance beam scale for your powder. Showed me how to run the case lube pad so you could size your cases and all that, you know. He kind of got me set up on all the basics. I talked to the plumber guy, and he kind of gave me some pointers on load development type of things. So I was buying 150 grain Sierra Match Kings, 150 grain Sierra Game Kings. I just stuck with a 150 grain bullet. I taught myself precision reloading, essentially, because I'd go out, set up my 100-yard target, and I would just like pace things off. I had an idea about how many steps I needed to take for 100 yards. And I had a friend of the family had a little piece of property or whatever. It's like, yeah, I go out there and shoot anytime. And so I'd step off, you know, set my box on the ground, walk back to my rifle. And I'd shoot 5-round groups, and I did 2 10th grain powder charge differences. Didn't know anything about adjusting seating depth. Just had that one seating depth, just tuned everything with powder charges. And I got that rifle and just a factory gun. Like, it was a very solid, consistent half-minute gun. Brand new to reloading.
That's cool.
Yep.
So you were able to you were able to figure that out early on.
So I've been into reloading, and like I said, 308 is my cartridge. That's what I learned to shoot on. Me and my buddy, he would have his dad's 22-250. I had my Winchester 308. We go out to a prairie dog field. Started learning just visual distance estimation.
Yeah.
I knew my rifle was shooting really nice at 100 yards. I'd never shot paper at 200, 300, or anything like that. I shot a shit ton of prairie dogs, though. And so with that little duplex reticle, just above the crosshair, I had that set for my 100-yard zero.
Your little post, the little post there?
So it's skinny crosshairs, and then it gets a little bit fatter, right? Where it kind of came to that tip.
Yeah.
That was my 100-yard zero. 200 was like right on the crosshair. 300 was the next little spot down. Good enough for a prairie dog. It was 1, 2, and 300 yards. Dude, we slayed prairie dogs like a champ.
Yeah. Most of those duplex reticles ended up, if you measure them out, the post is almost exactly 1 mil from the center of the duplex.
Is it?
From the crosshair, yeah.
Yeah.
So I had a target that I built for hunters because, I don't know, 15 years ago, hunters were not into any of the shit we're into now.
Yeah, no.
Still duplex reticles, BDC type stuff, and teaching them, hey, like, okay, your reticle can actually be utilized to measure. We just have to figure out how big it is. So I put a target out at 100 yards exactly, and then I would have them aim at the center, and there were mil radian marks and minute of angle marks on this target. So that way you could say, okay, where's the post, right? Where the point and then the crosshair comes up. Where's that at? Vast majority of them are like right there at almost exactly 1 mil.
Yeah.
So then you're like, okay, well, now we have wind and elevation now that you can use. You just have to know a little bit. Michael Bachellieri was telling me a story. You know Michael Bachellieri? He's a Leupold guy.
No.
He worked for Leupold for like 14 years or something. He's off on his own now. He makes actually those Raven wraps on that tripod right there.
Oh, right on. Okay.
So he went to a Rob Furlong class up in Canada. Him and Rob are buds. And he was telling me about this rancher that showed up to Rob's class with a 223 Remington and just old school duplex reticle. He's a rancher in Alberta, and his sole purpose in life is to protect his herd from predators. And so Buck was telling me this guy was making shots with this 223 on crazy sized steel targets with nothing, a duplex reticle, and just knowing exactly what to do.
Yep, because it shot it so much.
Just shot it
had
so
it
much.
figured out. Yep.
He's like, I've had 3 barrels on this rifle. And he's like, you never decided to upgrade the scope? He's like, why?
Yeah.
Everything's fine. I need to. Everything I see, I can shoot and I can hit. And that's like the intuitive nature of shooting is something that I'm really I went through like probably 2 years of just getting my ass kicked, both mentally as well as, physically with scores, because I was just too focused on everything that I wasn't supposed to be focused on. I was drifting farther away from my intuition than it was building me gains, right? And it was just like, well, we got to put a hard stop to this. The intuition is really where it needs to go to.
Yeah. So I kind of been working on that for since I was 16 years old on the 308 side of things. And I mean, I haven't always been shooting 308. There's a long time there I was shooting 6.5-47 primarily for several years. Before that, it was a 243 and a 243 Ackley. Run the shit out of those and did really well. But last year, when actually 2 years before that in October, I decided, okay, I'm going to do the 308 thing. I was like going back to an old friend. Just kind of a couple new things. Okay, refigure this out, but we're good to go. I had struggles. Well, let me back up. Let's, what brought me to all this, right?
Yeah.
How did I wind up where I'm at right now? Deployment to Afghanistan in 2003 with the unit.
And you're not a pilot.
No. I was ground communications, enlisted. So when I was active duty, it was 96 till 2000.
Okay.
There's nothing really going on. There was bombing of the building and blowing up the USS Cole, a couple of those little things. It happened while I was active duty. It wasn't a big war or nothing like that. Got off duty in July of 2000. And that was all due to just so think about this. Ever since third grade, all the way through high school, I want to join the Army. You figure I would have just made that a career, right? The Army has got its intricacies in how things happen.
Absolutely.
Right? So I was seeing, I got my way up to E5, Sergeant E5. And I just started seeing like some hypocrisy going on from things that shouldn't have been. Like, there's racism going on. There was just, at the time, there was this preach about we take care of the family. Had an instance with my unit, brand new sergeant, was in my platoon, got to Fort Campbell, Kentucky, and he was just checking in, and he had like a grandparent passed away or something like that. So he ended up taking like emergency leave. He's got a wife and a kid and stuff, so he's just checking in, something happens to family, take emergency leave, however long that was, a week or two, I don't know. But as soon as he got back from that, his son ended up drowning in the neighbor's pool.
Oh my gosh.
Command wasn't going to give him emergency leave so he could bury his fucking kid.
What?
Yeah. And everybody was like, what?
Yeah,
well, what's this bullshit about we take care of the family, but
yeah,
you're going to give this guy a hard time about burying his fucking son? You shitting me.
Yeah, that's insane. That's madness. Especially my uncle was serving in the Marine Corps. I think it was 1983. He was on Okinawa, Japan, and his brother passed away. Another one of my uncles. Before I knew him, I was only 4 years old at the time. But they flew him from like that day. They got him on a plane and started him back from Okie back to little old Youngstown, New York, right? To make that happen. So to hear, I mean, that's just a pure command. That's a command issue.
Yeah.
100%.
And the guy might have been out of leave days or something or another, but that you can make a damn exception.
Of course.
Crying out loud.
Anybody can make an exception.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of how hard you want to push.
Yep. And so there's that. And then there was also just tired of the grind, whatever.
Sure. It'll wear you down, man. It'll wear you down.
So while I was active duty, I was over in Germany for like 2 years, did 6 months to Bosnia. That was 97, 98. Came back to the States, Fort Campbell, Kentucky, 99, did air assault school, whatever. I was doing really well. 3 years I had my E5. I mean, I was doing really well.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
anyway, got off active duty, and then of course September 11th happened. A couple months later, the Army had called me back. So I was like, well, I'm going back, whatever. So raised my right hand, joined the Army National Guard, got on with the unit. A year later, we're in Afghanistan. So it was like March 2003.
When you're referring to the unit, what do you mean the unit?
Group, Special Forces group. I was communications support company for 20th SF.
Okay, got it.
Yep.
Got it.
So anyways, Afghanistan in 03, Guard unit. I was mostly a FOBIT for the most part, but I spent a month down in Mazar-e Sharif with one of the teams down there, running their radio room so their guys could get out of the house, out of the safe house. So it was a great deployment. We had a really good time. But it was coming back from that deployment. We got back late 2003. There's this chick that I'd been emailing with and calling on the phone while I was overseas. Took her out on our date as soon as I got back home. Everything went well. She was going to college. I decided to get out of, so I was living just south of Memphis, Tennessee. I used that deployment to save up money and get my ass out of Memphis because I don't like that city. It's filthy and disgusting. So I used that money, moved back to Montana where I belong. Go to college. I figure I'm just going to go ahead and stick out my 20 years in the military, but I'm going to retire as an officer instead of an enlisted guy.
Sure.
Sounds like a better career path to me.
Better plan.
So anyway, I start college 2004, and I've been reading about this competition called the Sniper Country Sniper Quest.
I remember this.
Badlands Training Facility, Grandfield, Oklahoma, I believe it was.
Okay.
So you got a hold of one of my Guard unit buddies. He's former Ranger. He's like, oh yeah, we'll go shoot together, So I flew into Texas. Me and him, my girlfriend and his wife went to shoot this competition together. And so I actually had a custom rifle that I had built when I was in Memphis. It was a GA Precision, Remington 700. Of
course.
300 Win Mag.
Right.
On the Army's M24 stock, but I wanted 300 Win Mag. I had my first good scope was a Mark IV 3.5 to 10.
Yeah.
Was it a Mark IV? Or was it just I don't know. I had the one MOA elevation turret, the half-minute windage.
Yeah, they had
on it.
Yeah, they had a Mark IV, but they had like 2 or 3 different variants of it.
Yeah. So this wasn't the original 10 fixed Mark IV line. This is the variable
3.5 to 10
line. Yeah, still have that scope.
And then they made a 4.5 to 14 of it as well.
Yep. So I had straight mill reticle, Marine football mill reticles, one MOA elevations, half minute on the windage. I was just knocking out. I'm like, this is badass scope.
This is the state of the art. Now.
So I went to that competition. We shot it as a team, but they kept track of your individual scores as well. And I finished out as an individual, right in the middle of the pack. However many shooters there were, 150, 100, whatever it was. I was smack dab in the middle of that on the individual side of things. My very first match ever, shooting a 300 Win Mag. I was just so elated. I can do this.
Yeah.
Right. So anyway, that was a confidence boost for me. I damn sure wasn't dead last, but being right in the middle. Very first match, I was loving it, So anyway, get back to Montana and doing the college thing, and we started finding other matches around to go to. So we, and my girlfriend, who's now my wife, by the way, she ended up coming with me. We had another rifle built for her. It was on a Surgeon Action. Terry Cross at KMW built it for us.
Hell yeah.
Krieger barrel, Macmillan A5. Badass rifle. So that was my girlfriend's, my wife's gun. She had the 308. I had my 300 Win Mag, and we go to these matches and just shoot and have some fun. But the PRS wasn't a thing. It wasn't even a thought. Right. So that was 2005, 6, 7 kind of time frame. Well, get to graduate in college, 2008. Actually, late 2007. I went to flight school January 2008.
Okay.
For the Army.
We were flying about the same time then.
Yep. So Mother Rucker, Alabama, learn how to fly helicopters. They teach you on the Bell 206 Jet Ranger. Everything's all on you. Like you're working on torque pedals, you're working your collective, cyclic, all at the same time, just to fucking do a hover, right? Went through instruments, all that kind of good crap, whatever. Graduated 2009, flight school.
How many hours do you come out of flight school with back then?
Dude, I don't remember.
A couple hundred?
No.
Even
no,
like less?
I want to say like 60.
Okay. Yeah.
It sounds about right, but I don't recall.
Yeah, like a private pilot for USPA is like 52 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah. To get a private certificate is 52 hours.
Yeah. I was somewhere around there.
That's crazy. Yeah. Flying Black Hawks of 52 hours.
Yeah. Black Hawks are a machine, man. God, I love that aircraft.
I bet, man. I mean,
that thing's a race car.
It's I'm good friends with Chris Dillon from Dillon Aero, and he bought a Black Hawk recently. It's just absolutely stunning. It's just like,
does he have the glass cockpit?
Yeah.
That's we didn't
pretty sick bird.
My guard unit didn't get the mic models until I had a year or something before I retired. So I got quite a bit of time with them. That's all glass cockpit. Everything else we were flying was the Alpha Limas.
Got it.
So still just old school kind of thing. Yeah, but it teaches you flying. It's fun. The glass cockpit isn't so nice though. Those aircraft they're a beast.
I can imagine, man. That's like a giant Cadillac. It seems like it's a giant Cadillac flying through the sky.
Yeah, it's so fun. Yeah.
The only time I've ever ridden on a Black Hawk is on a medevac flight.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's the
sorry.
only time I've ridden it. I was so doped up, I didn't even remember. Yeah. Like, oh, they're carrying me out to a helicopter.
Yeah. No. So we get to get back from deployment. So went on deployment with the guard unit, 2011 into 2012. We had a year-long deployment to Iraq. So we were Taji Dustoff, just north of Baghdad.
Okay.
I had good role there. We had teams, other locations, but mine was Taji Dustoff.
So who were you primarily supporting? Were you supporting anybody in the AO that required medevac? Anybody in the AO? Okay.
Yep.
Didn't matter what service, nothing?
Yep. No, hell no. Anybody calls, I need a medevac, we're going. Mm-hmm. We're going in. Yep.
Yeah, I was there in 2004, and I don't know what it was like there during your time, but I know that the air threat was so high that air was not. The only time we had air was fast movers to drop bombs. Oh. That's it. The rotary ring cast was not a thing. Mm-hmm. We did use some rotary ring casts in Fallujah when we were taking the city back, but that's pretty much it. Yeah. Because it was just such a high threat for ground fire.
Yeah. No. So 2011 was that time like the whole shutdown of the withdrawal out of Iraq. So there is the end of 2011. It was the final ground withdrawal. Mm-hmm. In fact, there was a POI. One of our crews had to go in on. Unfortunately, there was a couple casualties, but one death. Death wound up on our aircraft. Sustained life right up until higher level of care, which finally passed away. There's nothing the medics would have been able to do for him either way. Yeah. Serious head injuries, type of stuff. But still, that fucked up my medic.
I bet.
A bit. Yeah, not good. But got through it. I think she's doing okay. Anyways.
That's coming from that, being on the receiving end of care. I can see how that would be really difficult on people to deal with, for sure.
Yeah. So the way that we flew, and so there wasn't a whole lot of air threat at the time. Things were kind of calming down. Soldiers were getting out. You'd have the sporadic. You'd see a couple rounds or something or another past your aircraft as you're flying. But they don't know what the fuck they're shooting at. They're not going to hit you or whatever. I think there's one aircraft came back with a damage on something or another, but minimal. Anyway, we wasted 6 months of our life in Kuwait. The last half of our deployment was sitting in Kuwait, just doing traffic patterns, whatever, just to maintain your flight hours requirement, maintain hours on the aircraft, because they can't just park them. It's not good for them.
They got to fly. Yeah.
Just that alone was just enough to just like piss you off. Like, I'm here to do my damn job. I want to go do my fucking job. If I'm not doing my job, send my ass home.
Yeah.
What the fuck am I doing here for?
Yeah.
There's no intent to go back in the country. Maybe there was. We didn't know about it.
Were you guys all the way back to like Kuwait City, or were you kind of out forward like Udari Range area?
Camp Beering, I think.
Oh shit, man! I
can't remember that
call it, but
yeah,
like Udari Range is within 5 miles of the Iraqi border.
It was around there. So I don't know, whatever. But anyway, it was a waste of time. But that gave me time and opportunity to be on the internet, research stuff, found out about this precision rifle series thing that had been started. Actually bought Brian Litz's like first book that he wrote.
Had that like 09?
Sometime around there. I had that mailed to me, and I'm sitting in my bunk like reading this thing, like, you know, it's basically a college level text. I'm like reading through this, and it was like, hey, what are you doing? You know, they're off playing video games or whatever. Like, oh, I'm reading this book. Like, you dork. Like, I don't know, I'm into it, man. Yeah, so trying to learn some shit. You know?
What are you into?
Yeah. But anyway, get back from that deployment, and it's 2012, and take my wife, and we go to the Sniper's Hide Cup 2012.
Okay.
She didn't shoot. No, she did shoot. Yeah, she went with me. And then, so she was shooting one of our rifles. I don't know if it was that 308 that I had built for her or not. I had my 300 Win Mag though. Like, to me, that was the best gun that I had. That Sniper's Hide Cup, I believe it was either in Colorado or Wyoming. I want to say Wyoming. Don't recall off the top of my head exactly, but I got 9th place with a 300 Win Mag.
Nice.
I'm like, fuck yeah, buddy.
Nice.
Right? Yeah. Hadn't been shooting in a long time, and come back in like 9th place with
just hit it
with my bag. Upgraded rifle for the next year. So 2013, Sniper's Hide Cup, I got 3rd place.
Okay.
Yeah. George Gardner and Francis Cool were 1st and 2nd. I was 3rd. That time I had a straight 243.
Okay.
So, and also on a surgeon action.
Changing some stuff up.
Yep. Yep. Give me better ballistic advantage, and not so much damn recoil and whatever. But 2013 was also the second year of the PRS.
Yep.
And talking to my wife, I was like, hey, I think I can do this. Like, I did so well at the Sniper's Hide Cup. I want to do this PRS thing, whatever. So my wife's awesome. She was like, yeah, go do it. So second year of the PRS, I hit 5 matches. One of those was the finale. And so I was driving wherever I could, flew to the finale, and I finished like mid-pack. They took the top 50 shooters at that time to the finale. And again, I was like right in the middle when I finished everything up, somewhere 50th percentile range. Okay. Somewhere around there. So I was pretty elated with myself. I only shot 4 matches plus the finale, and I'm among the top 50 shooters in the country. So I was like, I'm pretty good.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's some other matches, smaller ones that we had shot in there, but I've continued the shooting thing, but it wasn't like this is my life. I got other things to do. I was brand new pilot. I got to keep getting in, doing my flight hours throughout the week. You got your goggle requirements. You got your night requirements. You got your check rides that you got to do, all your written exams. You still got to maintain all that knowledge and everything. Oh, and when I had graduated flight school back in 2009, the economy had tanked.
Yeah.
Everything was in the damn toilet.
Yep.
So my civilian work history, which is telecommunications, when I get back up to Great Falls, Montana, I can't find a damn job in that field. Everybody was doing layoffs. They weren't hiring. So I couldn't find a job I was trying to find the cell phone company up around here. I was trying to find any like internet companies. Nothing.
That's savage, man. That's got to be it. I have not been in those shoes, and so that's got to be tremendously stressful.
Yeah. So we're still mostly like right out of college. In the time that I was coming to college, 2004, my wife was graduating. So she was getting her undergrad right when I'm starting. She had applied to get into a doctorate of physical therapy program in Missoula. So we started in Bozeman. So she got into doctorate program in Missoula. So we moved to Missoula, and that's where I got my undergrad. My wife is a doctor. I'm married to a doctor. How cool is it? Doctorate of physical therapy, but still really cool.
Yeah.
So she had almost a year of work experience down at Fort Rucker, Alabama, when I was going through flight school. Moved back to Great Falls. She's working for one of the major hospitals, a newer therapist. I can't find a job for a civilian side of things, so I'm just relying on income from the Guard. So I'm trying to get as many flight periods as I can, every month. But there's only so many that I can get because, one, I live almost 2 hours away from the city, and there's so many other pilots that also got to fly. So it wasn't much income. So I needed to find out a way to get another job. So I applied for a online teacher preparation program. So it's an online kind of a thing that if you already have a job, that you can do online courses to then at the end get your teaching certificates and then go on to be a teacher.
Got it.
So it's kind of like you're doing something else, but we're going to let you take your time to complete these things here. So you can't just quit your job. You can keep that for your income, do this, and then you can go on to be a teacher. Like on top of the thing. So I did that. And I'm still trying to shoot matches every once in a while through all that. And we had a little jaunt to South Dakota, trying to change the scenery. That didn't work out, so we wound up back here in Choteau, Montana, when everything kind of came about. But when we did the South Dakota thing, one of the things I was doing just in my off time, as I'm doing like online teacher stuff, I'm going in to fly, is I was doing rifle scope and optic reviews. There's a online magazine. It's called longrangehunting.com.
Yeah.
You've heard of it?
Yep.
So
Bacchus.
Yep. So I had actually written some hunting articles that got published there. And I did like a optic review, just kind of one of those things. I just want to do it and write it and see if it get published on the website. All my articles were like doing really well, and they started asking me to do, hey, can you do a review on this one? Can you do a review on that one? Can you do a review on this type of thing? So for them, I did a review on the Husqvarna scope, the 5-30, did a review on the Night Force Beast. Well, I'd reached out to this company that I had heard of at one of these Snipers Hide Cup called Kahles. Had never heard of it before. I remember the price was a couple $1,000s for a scope. So for my little budget, I was like, stay away from that. But anyway, I got this guy's card. And so I wrote an email and never heard anything back. Like a month or two, or it was a long time. Then I get a phone call out of the blue. I'm actually at Fort Harrison on a training weekend or day. And it was in the evening, and I get a phone call. And this guy's like, yeah, hey, I'm trying to get a hold of Nick. I'm like, yeah, this is me. I was like, hey, this is Jeff Huber with Kahles. I was like, yeah, I know who you are, sir. You're like, all right, I have to call me sir. Like, hey,
Jeff.
I know this guy's name, right? Yeah. I don't know him, but I know his name from the Night Force side of things. So he talks to me. He's like, well, yeah, I'm with Kahles now, I'm the importer distributor. Sorry, the other guy didn't send you an email back, but are you still looking at doing an optic review for us? I was like, yeah, what do you want? I'm thinking rifle scope because I want to put my hands on a $2,000 optic, right? He's like, well, actually, we could use some exposure on our binoculars. Would you mind checking out some binoculars for us?
Okay.
Absolutely. Send them to me. So he sends me the binoculars. We're still in Great Falls. We're in the process of moving to South Dakota, though. And so I end up getting this article all put together, getting everything written up. I'm real happy with it, a few pages long or whatever. I do as much analysis and whatever as I can do on them. And I'm packaging up the binoculars, getting ready to send them back to him. I had them a month or two. And he just happened to mention to me that, well, my other guy left me and really, really busy right now, whatever. I said, well, is there anything that I can do for you? He's like, from up there? Like, yeah, I don't have a job right now. I'd love to try and help you out however I can. He's like, that's really interesting. When you get moved to South Dakota, go ahead and give me a call. Like, okay. So I'm finishing up my teacher preparation program. I have a contact with Kahles now, big name in the industry as far as I'm concerned.
Yep.
We get moved to South Dakota, and I get a hold of Jeff, and so I go out to his place in Orofino, quick little interview kind of a thing, right? And he was kind of shocked at first. He comes picks me up from the hotel to get up to his place. Is a hell of a jaunt up the mountain.
Okay.
So he knocks on my door and open it, and later on he tells me, he's like, "You're a lot younger than I thought you were. I thought I was going to be an older guy."
Yeah.
Oh shit, sorry, you know.
Yeah.
We got along really well, and he offered me a job. What they needed at the time was somebody reaching out, getting more dealers on board for Kahles throughout the United States. So that was, if you go back in history, and that was kind of that time frame when the Kahles brand really kind of took off here in the United States. We had some excellent contacts. Shannon Kay and his K&M team were running Kahleses. There's a few other people, the bigger names that started shooting the Kahleses and everything like that. And I was traveling around to matches, setting up a booth, trying to actual representation from the brand. And that was a large part to that industry presence. I think that Kahles brand really kind of took off.
Kahles kind of filled the gap between the Leupold and the Schmidt and Bender of the time. Right. It was the gap in the middle. You had Premier. Premier was floating around out there. But Premier was that super upper echelon. You're paying for the brand name type thing. And even when those scopes first started coming out, I was never super. I mean, a lot of people were super blown away by them, but I was just like, I don't really see anything. I don't really see anything crazy about these scopes that everybody's crowing about. But when Kahles hit the market, that was actually the first high-end scope that I bought. I bought a 624i. Right when it came out, I bought it from Jeff. In like 2013.
Right around then. Do you remember the 3-12?
Yeah.
I still got one of those.
Oh, right on.
Yeah.
Cool.
But, anyway, so we did a lot of great work for Kahles. I'm still shooting now, trying to hit more PRS matches, but I'm not, now it's not my job to shoot. My job is to get more dealers on board, primarily, make industry contacts, represent the brand as best as I can, traveling around, doing that type of stuff. So I was shooting a little bit more in PRS. And then whatever happened with Kahles and our contract, because Jeff's contract, I worked with Jeff. Right, his contract with Kahles as the importer distributor. Swarovski took over that and whatever freed us up, and thus was born the Zero Compromise Optic brand. So Jeff's entire work background, his history, everything is precision high-end rifle scopes. He knows pretty much every player in the game, right? So we found a good mechanical designer. He knows the best optics guys in the industry. We had a machine shop that was spun up and ready to go, make things to the quality that we needed. Because with Jeff's leadership, putting this team together, the ZCO brand was ultimately born. I was just fortunate enough to still be working with Jeff. We had a great working relationship. I've always been remote for him, but I did a lot of the reticle designs, the initial reticle designs, Impact 1, Impact 2. I was doing a lot of the product literature, trying to get all that stuff squared away. So when somebody buys something, they pull up the owner's manual, operator's manual.
Makes sense.
Helping with the website, text and everything. So English was proper, all that kind of good stuff, getting that all put together. So I never pursued the teaching side of thing that I was just completing because now I'm in the industry that I really want to be a part of anyway.
We're going to go hit the gas.
So doing all that kind of good stuff. But when we lost the contract with Kahles, working on building ZCO now, there's a year or two that now I'm without money again, except for my flight time that I'm getting with the Guard.
That's startup mode, man.
So then it was, I need to earn more money so I can afford to keep shooting because I want to keep doing that, but it was severely reduced. So I finished getting everything put together for my teaching stuff, which all I had to do was get a paid teaching position to complete that degree. Unfortunately, that was supposed to be a master's program. I didn't finish my 1 year of teaching until after that it expired. So I don't have my master's in education. I'm just a regular teacher. But
if you're a good teacher, it doesn't matter if there's a piece of paper that says you're this or that. You just got to be a good teacher.
So I taught high school science for 3 years out of Augusta. So I'm making some money. ZCO was.
I'm trying to picture you as a high school science teacher.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It was fun. It was good. It was good. But it was like in my prep periods when like all the papers are graded, shit's ready for the next class. I got some time. I'm sketching out reticles.
Okay.
Doing stuff. It was actually my last year of teaching there that we ended up coming out with the Impact 3.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, literally, I'm getting emails back and forth with Jeff because I do the initial like designs on all this stuff. Here's what I think, a good layout and everything is going to be. Here's the pros and cons, whatever. Send it to Jeff. And then Jeff's like, well, we need to kind of change this. We need to kind of change that or whatever. With all his experience, he knows like subtensions and thicknesses, all that kind of good stuff. So we kind of worked out the best formula, how we wanted all that kind of good stuff. And then the Impact 3 was coming online. And finally, ZCO is, okay, we're finally here as an official brand. That was 2018 SHOT Show.
I remember. Yep.
I remember. Yep. So then, like that last year of teaching was ScopeChaps had just started up. I'm teaching, and I got a ZCO going on. Working 3 jobs now. ScopeChaps, we're making 1 product a day, 4 or 5 a week, maybe. Very low sales. It's just the original ScopeChaps products, right? So now I'm busy. I get an order. I'm like, super happy.
Yeah.
But I can see the writing on the wall because like the last, I think almost 6 months of the school year, I'm starting to make more money selling my little side business than I would if I was a full-time teacher. Teachers in Montana make shit for money.
I can imagine.
I think I was sub 30,000 for a year as a teacher. I think it was like 28 is what I was making. And with my little side hustle, if this keeps going, I'm going to make more doing that than I would as a full-time teacher.
Wow.
So
I didn't even, I that is significantly lower than I had expected to begin with.
Yeah.
Wow.
So then I just revert back to, well, I'm going to work with Jeff at ZCO, promote that. I got my own little side hustle to make some extra money. And at the time, my wife and I were like, our whole entire thought process, if ScopeChaps just makes 1 car payment a month for us,
I mean,
that's a bonus.
Right. That's typically like, I guess there's different levels of entrepreneurship, right? Like from that perspective, you're looking at it and you're like, okay, the side hustle is helping me pay my bills. Like my wife breaks it down into bucket 1, bucket 2, and bucket 3, right? Bucket 1 is like what you need to survive, right? It's what we need to survive, pay our bills. Bucket 2 is the side hustle that kind of helps you pay those bills or fuels the desire to do something more or different, right? It's your side hustle. And then bucket 3 is what happens when time, money is not an object, right? This is what I want to do with my time. And I don't really have to worry about bucket 1, bucket 2. So, and then there's other people that, start businesses that want to rule the world, right? They're just like, they love business to the point where they're like, hey, I want to see how far I can take this thing.
So I started out as just a little side hustle and now it's my only job.
Yeah, man, that's cool.
We're killing it with sales. Customers are great, for the most part. Products are doing like awesomely, great reputation. And a lot of that just comes from, I want to make good stuff. I want to make great stuff, not just here's a Me Too product. Oh, I make this as well.
Dude, I love the CanChaps. The one CanChap that I do have, like that thing is badass. It doesn't move on the cam. It stays put and it does exactly what it's supposed to do, which is reduce the mirage coming from the cam. And I like them because they're low profile and they don't move. They don't move.
So getting that whole thing up and running, as now we've been in business now, I'm losing track, 6 years, 7 years, I don't know, something like that. We kind of started like right when the whole COVID thing was coming online. You got these lockdowns. You've got people aren't traveling, not spending enough or much of their money anymore because things are kind of tight. The economy's kind of shit as a result. But we still continued to make our products and grow our products. And so it was 3 years in when we finally started the CanChaps, so like our 3rd year product. So the CanChaps kind of came about as almost as an accident, sort of. Getting a hold of one of my other friends here in Montana also, he was making suppressor covers. He makes other stuff too, ammo wallets, and does some gunsmithing, things like that, but he was making these suppressor covers. They didn't have that soft felty kind of stuff or whatever on the inside that's actually in contact with the suppressor. Something else that kind of kept things in place a little bit better. And so I was getting a hold of him to get another one or something. I asked if he's still making these things. He said, well, yeah, I can make you one, but they're kind of a pain in the ass. He didn't like it. The material sucked to work with. So I asked him, well, would you mind if I made them? And yeah, go ahead. And he was gladly get rid of them. So anyway, he sent me some information as far as like material that he was using, but it wasn't the same stuff. A little bit different, but got my thought process going in the right direction for materials to look at.
Okay.
And so I found this other material, had that rubberized kind of silicone on it. So when you set that like on it doesn't move, it doesn't just slide around, like it's got some tack to it. I was like, yes, that's exactly what I need. The temperature rating of like 1800 degrees or something. Okay, that shit's not going to melt or burn. I found some other material to like sandwich in between things as another layer of like heat barrier. And then it was just materials and how do I put everything together? Because one of the biggest things for me is I fucking hate Velcro. You use Velcro all the time, that shit just wears out over time. It's a pain in the ass. And then you're like, well, this sucks, and you're trying to replace the Velcro, you just throw the shit in the garbage and go buy another one, and that's going to last you a year or two, and then the Velcro's fucked if you use it all the time. And you got to throw that out. And so I didn't want that. I also didn't like having just bungees wrapped all over something, trying just like your python or whatever, boa constrictor, trying to like tighten the shit on there like that. Just didn't like that look. I didn't like that process. But I had a product from some other company as a roll-up shooting mat that had these metal G-hook buckles.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I can use. And I was like, okay. So then you got the free running end. I need to hold those things down. And I think it was just on Amazon, and I found these metal tri-glide buckles. Damn sure didn't want really any plastic in it. With the heat and everything, I wasn't going to trust plastic. So I wanted metal. Downside to having the metal is over time it is going to get hot if you keep shooting that suppressor. Like that shit can warm up pretty quick. But for precision rifle application, what these are intended for, that's really not a factor too much. And anyway, so these tri-glides are super cool in that you can actually reposition them fairly easy.
Yeah,
I think if you tighten down, I take this little free running end and I just put it under there and I just go like that.
That's how
I loosen that up and then I can just do that and it's loosened up. What sucks then is if you try and tighten it back down by just pulling on this, you don't get enough force. So I do still like loosen this all the way up, pull that out, and I can really grab a hold of that entire strap, tighten it, and then feed it back through the tri-glides.
The good thing about your can cover though is that like once it's on, it's on, right? And you can tighten the can on to the rifle with it, and it's not going to slip. You've got an adapter here. I run direct thread, so I just snap mine on. Just use the hand torque, and the way that you manufacture with that grippy material, it grabs the can and it really well. So it's like once it's on, it's on. And I really like mine. So the whole point, I didn't like the big fat bulky look of most other suppressor covers. I didn't like that they slid off really easy. Right.
The benefit to them is that if you want your suppressor to kind of cool off a little quicker, those other ones you can just slide over your barrel,
Yep.
And get, your entire suppressor to the open air to hopefully cool off quicker.
Yep.
For most of these suppressors, though, precision rifle application, it's really not a factor at all. Yeah. I was like, leave this thing on. When it's on, it's there. You're not going to shoot the damn thing off so long as you tighten the buckles appropriately. It's not a factor.
And then you have your collar back here.
Yeah, so
down.
So that one. So that's the Thunder Beast Magnus full size with the SR locking collar. So that uses a brake that you actually tighten onto your barrel, and you can time it or whatever. And then the whole suppressor like spins on really quick, and then you just lock it with that locking collar. So usually I would make these for this. So it does have this bungee at the very back. That should go back around the back end of here, and that's as a mechanical lock around the back side of the suppressor so it doesn't move forward. The only reason I have that on there, the original design didn't have that at all. There's no bungee.
Okay, so you just relied on the tackiness of the material.
Yep. Okay. Yep. And so I still have multiple of those in my own personal collection. Those very first ones that we sent out didn't have that, but I did have a guy shoot one off once.
Oh.
I think because he didn't tighten the dang straps all the way, or he probably had loosened it and then he just tried that tiny little end to get it on there, and then whatever, he didn't really pull on those straps super tight. That's my thought. I don't have it, but as a manufacturer, if one guy already did that, somebody else is going to do it. Somebody else is going to do it. So what's the solution? Well, I can't make that stuff any tackier. I can put in an instruction, make sure you tighten these things as hard as you can, or I can just come up with something really simple. And so threw in the little bungee, and so that on every other model now should go around the backside of your can with a major outer diameter, has a good step down for that bungee to tighten up around for that mechanical lock on it.
Yeah, that's great. That's a great product.
This, though, the suppressor's long enough. I got 4 straps on that size of a suppressor. There's so much grippiness to that. I leave it just about half of this locking collar so I can still take the suppressor on and off, leave the camshaft in place. I don't have to worry about it. Everything's good to go.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
But so I can make it that length, but if somebody just orders like that suppressor specifically, and they don't ask to leave about half of this locking collar exposed, I'm going to make it for the full length to make sure that that's back there in case they don't get those straps tightened.
That's the one that I have. I've got 3 of these, and then the bungee around the back end of the cam for Ultra 7.
Yep. Yeah. So anyways, that's kind of how the CanChaps.
So CanChaps came first, and then ScopeChaps?
Nope. ScopeChaps came first.
Okay,
that's the name of the company.
Got it. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, that was original. And where the name Chaps, that part of the name anyway, my original thought was to make these out of leather. I wanted to do a tooled leather, like old really West, nice. Like, gun belt kind of a thing, or saddles. Something. That's kind of what I was thinking. And I've been kicking around this idea in my head for almost 2 years before my wife was like, Chaz up at Warhorse Development, go up there, sit down with him. You have everything in your head already figured out. You just need his sewing to like try one, to put a prototype together. Yep. And so I did we had I think it must have been Thanksgiving, and it was the next like school day I just took as a sick day, went up and sat down with him. I was like, I've got this idea. I don't have machines. The sewing, the expertise and all that. Can you manufacture this product for me? I think this is going to be really, really cool. So there was like ScopeChaps was born. Okay. Not leather, obviously, because I needed to get something. So I had everything figured out. Chaz helped me. Got things kind of sewed together. They fit the ZCO 527. Like, okay, a couple little quick modifications. And I was like, can you be my manufacturer? And I'm going to sell these things. Of course, he's making all the other stuff. And so we worked out a little bit of a deal. I pay him for his time and labor and everything. I turn around, obviously with markup, and I'm going to sell them. He's making money. I'm making money. Everything's doing really well. Until about a month later, he's like, Nick, you're going to have to find somebody else. I can't do it. I'm not going to be able to keep up with your demand. These are going to go really, really good. And I got my own stuff I got to keep track of. Yeah. Sorry, man, but you're going to have to find another manufacturer. Yeah. Dude, we had already been kicking these things out for like a month. the
Everything's so
website.
cool.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Yeah, I'm just like, fuck.
Yeah.
And my wife was like, whatever, I'm going to go buy a sewing machine. So she went into Great Falls, found some sewing machine place, bought this old ass industrial machine. Like, all right, I guess we're our own manufacturer now. And figured out how to do all the threading, stitch length, controls, tensions, all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah.
Been off to the races ever since.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, because I'm assuming, I mean, that's a whole nother portion of the thing in and of itself is to learn how to use the machines and the different stitches. And
Yeah.
I watched a bunch of my buddies go through, in the skydiving community, go to rigger school. And they become certified parachute riggers. And that's all, you know, bar tacks and stitches and repair and stuff. Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, my wife was just like, we're doing it on our own, whatever, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Didn't know anybody else to start manufacturing things. And so we started out with 4 or 5 models. We had the ZC 527, the Leupold 525, the Night Force 525, the Tangent and the Schmidt.
Okay.
I think those are our first 5 ones that we started out with. Now we have probably damn near 300 models of scopes that we can make these for.
Wow. Okay.
We've got the top 50 or something on the website, something like that. I can't list everything.
Oh, right. Okay.
It's just too much shit for people to filter through.
Sure. Yeah.
But if somebody sends us an email and they say, hey, I got this particular scope, do you have a product that fits it? Good chance we already have it. Especially these popular models in the PRS, NRL, whatever stuff. Limitation is the front objective part of the scope, that whole bell. Gets too dang small, shit ain't gonna work.
Got it.
It's just too small, product's gonna move around too much. It's just a dinky little thing. You can't, like 40 millimeter little hunting scopes that are this long on the object.
Yeah.
No, man, sorry. You know, it ain't gonna work for that.
Because it's almost like you need the angle of that bell for the nylon to have a lot of surface area to grab so it doesn't move around a lot.
Yep. So yeah, I mean, these are, again, our products are designed from a necessity in the community for the competition side of things. Because everybody's wrapping all that vet wrap around their scopes. And I was seeing that over the years. And I was like, there's got to be a better way.
And they're doing that to protect the surface of the scope for potential resale value in the future.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Just from getting damaged, beat up, you know, scratches and shit. So yeah,
my shit is just like, I look at my Kahles scopes and they're not thrashed, but like I don't own safe queens. You know.
Yeah.
I own rifles that I'm going to use.
Yeah. And they're a tool, and you work with them.
If I get a ding on it, it's just like, oh, okay, well.
Yeah. But when somebody's buying a $4,000 or $5,000 optic, hell, even $1,000 scope, you got right now a $65.95 product that'll help at least protect that largest part of your scope that's most likely to get damaged.
Yeah.
It's an easy investment.
Yep, for sure. Makes sense. I mean, what in this game is not $100?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like what is not $100?
Yeah. Well, our products aren't $100 yet.
Well, yes. And that might
even these $97.95.
Yep.
Boom. You know? So.
And that's any size, right?
Any size. Yeah. So reason for that, it's not the materials cost that is the determining factor, but my time.
The sewing cost.
Yeah, time to cut the material. I'm still cutting everything out by hand on my own. The straps get cut to length, one at a time. The materials cut out. Here's this one, and then here's the cordura. Here's the inner layer, and like everything. It's the time that's the cost, not the materials. Now we get quite a few requests. And they're a pain in the ass for little rimfire suppressors, a little 5-inch, inch diameter. And so those I have to use Velcro.
I bet,
Yeah, those I got to use Velcro because these big old buckles and everything ain't going to work.
Yep.
But we've had quite a few people order those. I say they're a pain in the ass just because the Velcro, because that adds bulk onto these straps, that extra thickness of that Velcro crap. I don't personally like it, but people want it. Okay, more than happy to make it for you.
Yeah.
And just that really tiny getting things turned right side out after you do your initial stitches, holding shit together.
Right.
It's all just whatever. Yeah. But then I also had a guy earlier this year for one of the Thunder Beast 50 cal suppressors.
Yeah.
And I was like,
that thing's huge.
Holy crap, man. Yeah.
Yeah. How many straps you put on that one?
I don't remember. It was a lot though. But he sent me he loves the product. He said, fits perfect. Everything's great. He's like, I want to order another one from you, but I feel bad only paying $97.95 for it, because this thing's so damn, it's like 4 times the materials.
Right.
I was just like, whatever, man. It'll be fine. I don't have a way to try and calculate, because the way that people order, they tell me the suppressor model, the length and the diameter.
Yep. And then
there's not a way to try and calculate, well, if it's this long, I'm going to add you another 50 cents. If it's this wide, I'm going to add you another 25. Our website ain't that complicated. Mm-hmm. It's a custom order product. I try to make things as perfect as possible.
Well, you do a damn good job. You do a damn good job, man.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's really good.
So more than happy to make whatever, but there's some limitations, right? Biggest limitation on the CanChaps that people really got to understand is these are not meant for AR-15s running drills, going through a mag or two.
They're really gonna. I mean, that's
a ton of heat.
That's a ton
dumping
of heat.
in. Just replacing a guy's CanChap. He had it on a Surefire suppressor, little 5-inch, 6-inch long can, 1.5-inch diameter. That's a small package, and we were running 30, 40, 50 rounds through that. All that heat's retained in a very small, compact spot. And he had a failure of the CanChap. And like part of me is like,
melt to it.
He said when it was falling off, like he had to let everything cool down before he could dick with it, and some of the nylon stuff got in contact with the suppressor and like kind of melted on there, so he had to like sand that off. And I feel bad, but at the same time, I got a disclaimer on the product packaging, and not meant for anything more than 30 rounds. Mm-hmm. We've got it on our website. We're not going to warranty these things if you're using that manner and you melt it down. Yeah,
there's got to be a reasonable. It's got to be reasonable, yeah.
But he felt that he was only like right around that 30 round mark when he had the failure. I'm taking care of him, but I got to do something different as far as that goes.
Yeah, Magpul got a solicitation while I was working there for SOCOM came down and said, hey, we need a cover for our suppressor that does not involve fabric. Mm-hmm. Right, because dudes they're burning dogs, right? Yep. They're burning themselves, getting in and out of aircraft, and doing doing what they're shooting drills on the square bay and stuff. So the can that they came up with was made of polymer from Magpul, but it had like a steel, like an aluminum sleeve insert in it, but it increased the diameter of the can.
Oh yeah,
almost twice the diameter.
Yeah.
It was effective. It worked, but it was just large.
Yeah.
I can't remember where. I don't think it went anywhere. And if it did, great. But I can't remember.
I remember seeing those. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that was
super specialized.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And so for me, I'm not going to use that. I know a lot of people probably not going to use that.
Yeah. It's like great to shoot suppressed doing drills like that. But the gun gets hot twice as fast.
Absolutely.
Like you get to a point where you're like, I can't hold on to the thing anymore because it's just too hot.
Yeah.
So, okay. Right.
And so that's all due. I mean, this is in direct contact with the metal. Mm-hmm. You can't stop the heat entirely. It's going to get out eventually, and it's got to go someplace, and everything it's in direct contact with is going to get hot.
100%.
So I'm actually, I got something I think figured out. I still got to go through all the full testing to make sure it works out how I want, but materials that will not melt. I do have an insulation material in there, but it doesn't add really anything to the bulk. I still have the metal buckles, so those things are still going to get hot, but I just need to get out and see how many mags I can get through. If I can make 4 or 5 mags without a failure, without something giving way and falling apart, then I think I got to win.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I still got to do the testing on that. I'm so busy with everything else that like taking the time to just go do that for a day is going to take a while. Because what I want to do is do a mag dump 30 rounds. Let it completely cool, take everything off, inspect it. Okay, it can handle 30 rounds mag dump.
Let's do 60.
Put it back on, do 60. Do a mag dump and then maybe just do some drills like somebody might do. So you still increase in temperature, but they're not just rattling them off as fast as you can. Let it completely cool. Any failures? Okay, let's go 90. There's an incremental step in that to find out at what point will it fail? Does it fail? Again, that's just time. Yeah. And money, ammo and stuff. But I mean, fuck, I can afford the ammo at this point. So
yeah. So yeah, it's CanChaps, ScopeChaps, and that's your primary focus outside of shooting PRS.
Yep.
And you're also a ZCO dealer.
We are now a ZCO dealer.
Okay.
Yeah. I got my man, I'm so excited for this, but it's taking so long. My website lady is diligently kind of rebuilding our website right now, going through trying to make things easier for customers to get on and actually shop. Find tabs at the header like, I'm just interested in CanChaps. So I don't need to go to the shop and filter through all these ScopeChap thing, and then here's the CanChaps down here or whatever. So everything should be right up at the top banner. You got your ScopeChaps, your CanChaps, and then we're going to have Zero Compromise Optic scopes and mounts and accessories on there.
Cool.
So right now I'm sitting on quite a bit of inventory for ZCO, but I need to make sure that my website is 100% squared away. All the product descriptions and specs and everything are accurate for the products that we have. But yeah, we're going to be able to carry pretty much all the ZCO stuff.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Awesome, man.
So really excited for that, and it's taken longer than I wanted to, but I'm also, come check out our website when everything gets ready. I actually take each one of our scopes. So like take a 4 to 20, for example, and I do a product video about just this scope. It's not all these together, but I go through all the different specs, length, weight, reticle options, elevation, windage, pros and cons, all the kind of good stuff for each model individually.
Okay.
So those videos will be available for people to come check out. If they're just learning about the brand, maybe they're hearing about it because they're on our website, they can learn something. But then anybody else that just want a little bit more information, maybe can come check that type of stuff out.
Cool, man. So yeah, it's like you think that it's easy to just go, okay, we're going to go sell this thing. It's like, well, yeah, there's a whole lot of stuff that goes into just going to sell something.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a whole lot going on, and especially from like a customer experience, making sure that, like we were talking about the other day with like social media and people's attention spans and stuff. Like if people can't make a purchase within 30 seconds, that might even be wildly outside, right? Even maybe twice as much time as it should take for somebody to go, yeah, buy now, right?
Yep,
and just go through, like, now it's like when you set up your email campaigns, there's abandoned cart email flows, right? Like, and that's wild. Like people go through, and I'm like, I've done it. I'm like, all right, I've gone halfway through this process. I get distracted with something else. I got to go take care of something. And you're like, it didn't complete it.
Yeah.
But literally, how long does that take?
Yeah.
Maybe 5 minutes max. But we're so inundated with the next thing and all of the things that we have going on in our daily lives that just that thing that should be so easy is still seems difficult to do.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Yep. So yeah, that's what we're in the process of trying to do, is make things easier for the customer. But anywho's, one of the cool things with the scopes with ZCO anyways, just their different reticle options that they have. I think there's something for pretty much everybody. Whether you want just straight crosshair, do you want a tree, do you want something that feels more open but you still have tree capability? Are you an MOA shooter? Somewhere or another. There's lots of options with the scopes, and just in the reticles. And then turret options, I think they're streamlining the turret options a little bit more, because you used to have either 15 mil per turn elevation or 10 mil per turn elevation. You want locking or non-locking for each of those. For this year, I believe they want to just, everything's going to have 10 mil per turn elevations.
Makes sense.
Locking or non-locking.
Yeah,
and you
makes
still
sense.
choose that.
Yeah.
The 10 mil turrets, there's some pros and cons from a competition standpoint. If you have targets that you're dialing a lot from either close range out to far, and then you have to come back close,
it's more turn on the dial.
That 10 mil spacing takes you a little bit longer. The 15 mil click spacing was easier to get back and forth on.
Probably less tactile clicks too.
Yeah, the 10 mil turrets do absolutely have a better click feel to them. And so that's an advantage to there. But so there's kind of that balance. But I'd still recommend the 10 mil turret all the time anyway, regardless of a little bit extra turn-in for back and forth on those distances.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my 15 mil turret scopes, like, I want to hold on to these.
I got several Kahles with the 15 mil turrets, and then 3 or 4 of the DLRs. My eyesight is getting to the point where I need to have the turret tape on it with the white background and the black mark, or else I'll lose it. And then the 10 mil turrets, just having that increased spacing, it's easier for me to see it versus versus just the other stuff. So,
doing the reticle designs on ZCO is pretty interesting. Because when it started out, we're former Kahles, right? So I'm very familiar with the Kahles reticles at the time. Jeff is hugely familiar with the Night Force reticles that were out there. Other popular scopes at the time, you got your Vortex, you got your Leupold. Schmidt & Bender's still kind of in it, but not a hugely popular scope at the time. They're there, but not dominant by any means. But they had some really great reticle designs. So when Jeff kind of tasked me with figuring out reticles, I was looking at all these different reticles from all these different companies, and I literally had printouts from all these, and I was going through circling features on all these different reticles, like what's nice about this one, what's nice about that one, what do people like about this one over here, and then try to integrate all that together for the very first reticle designs. And then the Impact 1 became the 1X, Impact 2 became the 2X, Impact 2X. Our original Impact 3 had the little ranging funnel. Some people really appreciate that. Other people I don't need it. It's in the way. I don't want it there. So the 3X.
Where did you come up with that ranging funnel? Or was that your design?
That was my design. I had seen ranging things like that, but not integrated into a scope in that manner. Mostly I would see for the ranging, if you're trying to range a human, you had the little steps. Right? Schmidt & Bender had the little steps.
Kahles had it in it too, in the 624.
That, the MSR.
MSR.
Had those, right? So at the time, I was also shooting a lot of the field matches, the RTC stuff. And so it was based on human size proportions as well as IPSC targets. So
30-inch tall.
Width-wise is what I was going for instead of a height. I was going for the width. So 36-inch wide, full-size IPSC, right? 18-inch wide, 50% IPSC width, generally, right?
Yeah, I think a full-size IPSC is 18, and then a 66 is 12.
Oh, okay. So 18 and then
the full-size IPSC height is 30 inches.
Yeah, okay. So it's been a while since I dealt with those. So just tried to build in and figure out how I could have a way to bracket that size IPSC in little funnels where edge to edge right into here, and whether you were looking at the 18-inch, then I had a dotted line down the center, or a 9-inch. So you could range either of those. 9-inch, I think, generally is...
Yeah, about 9 inches for width of the
something
head.
like that. So you could range 9-inch, you could range 18-inch, and then also had some other stuff going on in there. So you could put that on IPSC if it was a full size or if it was 50% size.
Flash mill it.
Boom, there's your range, and then hold over what you need to hold over, kind of a thing. It came from that kind of concept.
Cool.
So it took quite a bit of math and drawing to figure out what's the spacing need to be mills wide at this point to give you this range, at this point to give you this range, kind of a thing. Just kind of worked into this cool little funnel kind of a shape. So that was the reason for it was for competitions it was all based off of human-sized proportions.
We're about ready to release a rapid engagement technique online class that we filmed in February. And we go over, I think there's 10 or 11 different rapid engagement technique methods inside the class. And I've always looked at that reticle and thought to myself that that's probably the easiest way to do a flash mill measurement, just based on my own individual experience of looking through targets that are humanoid targets that are moving in a manner that is indicative of a human being shot at, right? So when you're shot at, like, you're going to be moving quickly, you're going to be moving, you're probably not going to have a whole lot of exposure. So the whole concept of, being able to fit like the shoulder to the head, man, I don't know. It's really tough because everybody's brain's just a little bit different in how they respond. But reality is that, the fact of the matter is the more resolution that you have to see under those stressful conditions, the harder it's going to be. And that funnel, right, works really well. If it's like, hey, if it fits here, what's the closest line? Okay, that's 500. I'm going to hold for 5 and send a shot. And pretty much you're probably going to, if the target's moving, you're probably going to miss and you're going to have to re-engage anyways.
But it'll be damn close.
It'll be really close. Yeah, absolutely. It's not like you're going to be, 3 feet high because you have no idea what the range of the target is.
But and these like ranging funnel kind of things have been in existence for a long ass time. I think somebody's saying like even like tank systems have some sort of or used to anyways, this type of a thing. So it's nothing that's earth shattering. I'm not like brand new. The first thing I thought of it. That's just a modification on stuff that's been out there.
There's another reticle design in very similar fashion. This guy Frank Plum Precision. He's a former SF dude. Same kind of concept, right? So it makes sense.
Similar kind of things, just a little bit different execution. But actually building out the funnel, the exact widths, the yardages indicated, those are all just me doing the math and putting things together.
When you go through all those rapid engagement techniques and you start doing the mathematics, I think you have to do the mathematics in order for the concept to solidify. Because I think a lot of these rapid engagement techniques, people are just looking to hit the easy button, and they are moving away from understanding that these are basic core principles of understanding how to be a rifleman, right? Like,
exactly.
This is not like whiz bang mad scientist stuff. Like, if you know your data and you understand how to interpret a ballistic drop chart, we should be as riflemen digging into this using our own initiative to figure this shit out. Right? Like,
absolutely.
I tell all of my students, man, like, this technology here, this Kestrel or this ballistic computer program, it's the oracle, right? It has what you need, but you still have to dig into that, and you still have to, like, if you don't know how much wind drift your bullet experiences every mile an hour for every 100 yards, that's on you. You need to learn that shit.
Right.
Like, you can't just look at it and go, oh, that's what it is. You're not actually like solidifying it. You're not actually learning it.
So working with my son Jesse, shooting these competitions, he's still a kid and he's still trying to build that intuition and that knowledge, like how to approach things. So it's not just, hey, what did you hold for target one? I'm going to hold the same thing. When it might be different. Like, were you paying attention to exactly wind speed and angle when that guy was shooting? Did you take a mental snapshot of that? And is that the exact same condition that you're going to be shooting in? So getting them to the point where when I'm trying to work with him on wind calling stuff, I'm like, you make your wind call. I'll make my wind call. We're not going to talk to each other. You go ahead and send your shot.
Just shoot it.
I'm going to send mine. Then we'll talk about it afterwards. Okay, what were you holding? And talk about the why. But the more that he starts to make his own wind calls, taking this shot, seeing the effect of that shot, you're going to start to build that knowledge.
Eric, we talked a little bit on this. People asked Eric a question like, how do you teach people how to read wind? and Eric submits to the process of doing something like archery. It's called like a bare bail drill, where you don't actually have a target on the bail. You're coming to full draw. You're getting all your reference points set. You're looking at just a blank spot on the bail, and you're sending an arrow, right? Working with a new release, or learning how to shoot a bow. That way we don't actually have a target to shoot at, but his thought process is like, just hold center, press the trigger. But before you press the trigger, look at the mirage conditions, look at what the visual indicators are that you can see, send the bullet, and then watch how far downwind it drifts, and start to do the correlation. And I like that. I think that's great. It kind of piggybacks a little bit on, I do some visual processing drills for students where we'll dial windage into their turret and they won't know what to expect.
Yeah, right.
So that way it is a little bit of a surprise, because we want to be prepared. We don't, have a plan versus being prepared. I love that for wind planning too, because how many times have we come up with a wind plan, and then all of a sudden you go to shoot and it's like it completely either dies out or it shifts, and you're just like, man, none of this data is going to work for me.
Right.
But am I prepared?
Yep.
Am I prepared with that core baseline knowledge? Do I understand the concept of gun number? Can I come up with a wind call without having all of these numerical values from, a computer program or a Kestrel? We should be able to do that. Right?
Yeah.
We should be able to do that.
And so you remember, I don't know if it was just from the movie American Sniper, or if it was actual interview with Chris Kyle. There's a phrase, I think it was off of the movie. He said something about, I'm just a monkey on a gun, right? As his computer tells him what to do and what to hold, kind of a thing. He was obviously well above that, right? But some people just rely on that technology.
Yeah.
Do this. And then just do that, and it doesn't work out. And they're like, well, this thing sucks. Right. Not necessarily. Right. We got to kind of work with that. Understand that there's good information, but it also has some limitations. You have good information. You also have some limitations. Try and find out what's the best mix and match.
Right.
How much can I trust this thing to give me accurate information? Feeding it accurate information and understanding when it gives you a number, why is it giving you that number? Type of thing. I
think too, especially with the field style matches nowadays, where everybody's connecting their laser range finding binos to Bluetooth, Bluetooth to this, and Bluetooth to your watch, and Bluetooth to this, and it's like, I'm call me old school, but man, that just like freaks me out. It just gives me I'm just like, I don't like any of that.
Yeah.
Cool. I have a rangefinder and binos. Badass. Like, that is awesome. It's fantastic observation. It's the best observation tool that you can have at your disposal. And now I have the most critical piece of information that I need next to the wind call. Yeah. That's happening right away. Cool. And when I'm like, some of my students, I'm watching them, and that's all they're relying on is that technology drop. Yeah. And I'm like, yo, man, pump the brakes on that, pull the reins in, hard stop. Like, we should be able to just get a range to the target, write that on a dope card, look at the dope and say, Roger, I need 3.2 mils to shoot that target. Right.
A lot of these PRS matches I'm at, I'll get a wind speed, basically maybe the first, maybe second stage. And from there, all the rest of my intuition, everything is in my head. I'm not holding that Kestrel up to the wind every friggin' stage. It's get my senses attuned to, okay, when I was getting that wind speed, was that at the low, was it at the high, it was moderate? I'm building that knowledge, refresh my own senses. The rest of the match, like my Kestrel's coming out for my drops, my ballistics, writing that down, and then it's all, okay, wind speed is the same, angle has changed a little bit here, plug that into the Kestrel. That's what doesn't seem like that. So it doesn't seem that much, right?
And then when you have that information in front of you, then we're playing the second guess game, right? We're like, oh, wait a minute. Now that kind of disagrees with my intuition.
Yeah.
What do I, then you go into the conundrum of what do I do?
Yeah. How do you reconcile that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. And so then a lot of people are like, well, who's for sure to up? Like, who's the guy going to figure out what this is actually doing to us, type of thing.
Exactly.
And you got to take that with a grain of salt too. Consider who the shooter is. Mm-hmm. What is their level of expertise? And even if they say, I'm going to hold 4/10, you don't know for a fact that he's holding 4/10 the right damn direction.
That's right.
Depending on the shooter, right? Yeah. And then you also don't know, where did he actually zero that gun? Does he have a 10th of wind built into his zero and he doesn't know it? Mm-hmm. So I take all that with a grain of salt.
Yeah, absolutely.
When I'm hearing people, talking wind back and forth. And when I'm in a squad and there's 2, 3, 4 really good shooters and they're all shooting basically the same kind of calls, okay, then I'm fairly confident that that's about what they need. Mm-hmm. How do I apply that to a 308? Right?
Yeah.
Does that jive with what I'm thinking from my wind call? And a lot of times, we're talking back and forth. But I'm usually going up to them like, what are you kind of thinking on the wind here? And they're like, I'm thinking this. I'm like, okay, that jives what I'm thinking. I'm another 10th more than you. Mm-hmm. All right, cool. I'm checking with what I'm thinking to what you're thinking. That gives me a warm and fuzzy. Okay.
Yeah, and for longer shots for you, you got more gyroscopic drift to process and add or take away from your wind call. You're probably working in a 4 mile an hour as a 4 mile an hour gun, maybe 5 up here in Montana.
5 to 7.
5 to 7.
So 5 from one direction, 7 from the other.
Right. For gyroscopic drift. Yeah. And you're shooting a 10 twist.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Last year I was shooting a 9.
Okay.
9
yeah.
twist.
So just a little bit more drift too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So those are all things I tell students too. It's like, man, you got to make your own mistakes, make your own wind calls. Really force yourself to not listen to whatever the chatter is over there.
Yep.
Right. Because
don't go just off of that.
You're going to learn, your curve is going to steepen and you're going to learn more faster by just making your own mistakes. Mm-hmm. That's it.
Yep.
Right. Because then you're going to know how you came to that instead of just accepting it as is and saying, oh, okay, well, I guess I should hold 6/10 because that guy said so.
Yeah, you have no idea where that information came from, how it was gathered or came up with. And then if it isn't right, you don't know how to fix it.
Yeah, exactly.
You're just like, well, shit.
Or if it is right, how to replicate it.
Yeah, right, exactly. Mm-hmm. Yep.
How to either scale it or, because it is probably going to be scalable depending on range to target and all those things.
Yeah. So I think for some of the newer shooters, man, it's difficult, especially in like this level of competition, right? But if they have somebody else on their squad that they look up to or they can trust that seems to be shooting well, make your own wind calls first. Get the range to the targets, angles, wind speeds. Think through what's it going to take. And if that person is willing to at least reference your data and take a look and say, you might be too much on that one, not enough on that one or something, talk to them a little bit beforehand. Try and get some of the knowledge, but build your own information first. Yeah. Instead of, hey, what do I need for this? And just get that information on your own first, somehow or another, and then figure out if you're different, why. Kind of process. Yeah.
And shoot small targets. If you're training, shoot small targets.
Yeah,
you got to shoot small targets.
Don't
shoot big ones.
I'm a big fan of paper.
Yep.
Shoot a lot of 160 yard. It's an odd number, right? That's what I got right out here.
Yeah, that's what you got.
Yeah, but I can walk out this door. Got our barricade. I got different size targets, paper targets, and we'll just do that. A lot of training on paper. Yeah,
if you can do that maybe once or 10, even 10 to 20 focused shots a day, man, that pays dividends.
What's your thoughts on differences between training and practice?
Good point. So training, what I tell my students is, if you're going to go to the range, understand whether you're going there with an intent, right? Or whether you're going there to have fun, right? So training, I guess training and practice, I've never thought about delineating the two words between the two. I've always thought of it as like, hey, like I am here to be, this is a focused training evolution versus a range session that I'm just going to go kind of have fun with.
Yeah.
I just encourage students to always have a plan. Always have a plan. Think like, don't always make it work, right? Give yourself some opportunity to kind of have some fun or some open time that's not structured. So for you to then apply some of this that you learned over here in an uncontrolled, unregulated environment. Because most of the time that I see students make the most gains is when we just give them open line time. Sure. And we're just like, hey man, this take 45 minutes, pick 5 targets and go through either this process or go through a wind call process or go through plate reads or whatever skill it is that we're working on. Without somebody chirping at you, right? Sometimes that's where the discovery learning takes place and the light bulbs, you're like, oh shit, okay, that makes sense now.
Yep.
But I do think that having a structured training plan for someone who's looking to progress is absolutely paramount.
Yeah.
Like you have to have that.
Yep.
You have to be able to say, this is a start point, and then this is, I'm gonna evaluate my skills at this part of the process at incremental parts or specific points along that way. And we have to have performance metrics in order for us to identify whether or not we're gaining or we're maintaining.
Yep.
So
yeah. So training versus practice for me is the idea of training. I'm working on something new, a new skill that I need to ingrain into my processes to the point that it becomes second nature. I'm going to train a new way for bag placement and rifle placement. I'm going to train a new way for tripod deployment.
Sure, okay.
Something or other. I'm going to train my mental thoughts and processes, because that all comes into play when you're shooting. If you are training yourself to, I took a shot, it went off the side, now I have to shoot the next one. Train yourself, measure that before you just automatically move. How far out of plate was it? Take that extra 2 seconds, got it, move on to the next plate. How far away, how much further away is that? Is it a different direction? Do you have a different wind value? How much of that from that shot do you need to apply to this next shot?
I see what you're doing.
But taking that training of pause there for a couple seconds, measure with your reticle, then move on, and you got to make some quick calculation in your mind how much you need to adjust.
What the proportion is.
Yep. Training natural point of aim into approaching different barricade heights, positions. To me, that's training.
And then
you're working on something new.
You're working on something new, and then practice is them taking that and implementing it.
Practice would be, now I have that solidified down. Now that practice is getting in those repetitions to where now it's even more like second nature, where you no longer have to think about it. That training is that initial, how do I set my feet? How do I set my knees and my hips? Where do I put all my stuff? I'm training that specifically to the point, okay, got it. Now I need to practice doing that over and over and over again.
Understood. Okay.
Yeah. The mental management people, do you listen to their podcast?
I haven't listened to their podcast, no.
They got some cool podcasts.
Okay.
And most of it's still all around the mental management system, right?
Okay.
But one of the ones I think fairly recently is Troy and Heather talking. So Lanny was not in the podcast, but Troy said something to the effect of, train to win, practice to compete.
Okay. Train to win, practice to compete. Train with the mindset of winning, and then practice to be competitive. Is that the thought process?
I think so. Yep.
All right.
So a lot of our focus in this last year is, we started out last year, we take a shot and it's on paper, center, someplace within our target that we're shooting at. And there's a mental little thing that they wanted you to do of, that's like me.
Yeah.
Just hit that target.
Yep.
That's like me.
That's
move on to the next one. Shot, impact. That's like me.
Yeah.
That's building your self-image. That's knowing that all your body positions. you miss one, I'm not going to think about it. I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not going to write about it. I'm not going to do any of that. That shit never happened. Move on to the next one. Impact. That's like me kind of a thing. We were doing that quite a bit last year, Jesse and I.
Sweet. Yeah, that's good.
So that was good stuff. But then also just having our NPAs, our body positions tuned in.
Dialed.
We got a simple barricade here, just a stair step kind of a thing, multiple little heights, some things in between there. That fits 95% of the shooting that we're going to do. It's all just modifications of different heights. Yeah. How efficiently can you get into and out of these height positions? Then you got the intricacies of, got to take my rifle out of a porthole. I've got to put into a porthole and bag placement. Those are different techniques for bag placement. Learning all those different things and when to apply those, right? So like shooting off of barrels. Is a barrel on end? Is it laying on the side lengthwise? Is it laying on the side horizontal? Are there different techniques for placing a bag on each of those?
There is, yeah, absolutely. Right. So going through, I can see where you're saying, okay, practice versus training. Training versus practice. I can see that now. That makes sense.
Yep. Yep. So we're trying to take on more of a training aspect, but sometimes you just need, I know what I'm doing here. I'm just going to go practice getting into and out of positions where I'm not mentally focused on exact foot placement type of stuff. And if I see things are not going where they're going to need to be, pause. What am I doing incorrectly? Minimizing
the excess movement, analyzing where the feet are going. Okay, I can minimize this by taking another half a step further forward here, so that way I don't have to shuffle
quite so much,
right? Or expend time that is unnecessary.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
So even just looking at take a regular sport, basketball, baseball, wrestling. Jesse does a lot of wrestling. We're a wrestling family, more or less, right? If you're not training all your different techniques, all your different moves, if you're just going out there and practicing, you're going to get sloppy with stuff. You're going to ease up tensions, especially if you don't have a good practice partner, right? You're going to build a false sense of confidence, and you go to a match and you haven't been focused on the training aspect, making sure that you're doing things perfectly. You can get your ass handed to you. Right, you can't.
By somebody that's done that work.
Put in that effort. Yeah.
Fantastic.
So, in my mind, there's definitely a difference between training and practice.
There, I like that.
If you're wanting to get to that higher elite level, step out of I'm just here to practice. I'm just here to practice. I'm not really trying to proceed in my skill level. I'm not trying to advance my skill level. I'm just maintaining what I already have.
Okay. So a maintenance or a sustain.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, all right.
We're in different thoughts?
No, I think that's great. I haven't looked, that was the first time I've thought about it in that way, training versus practice, and it makes sense to me. Things nowadays, it's like, it's got to pass the common sense test, and if it passes the common sense test, it makes sense. Okay, fantastic.
I think it's just a restructure of how you approach what you're doing. They're building on your skill levels, learning something new to the point of perfection, or as close as you can get to it. And then now I need to go through those modes of practice.
Sure.
And then identify, wait a minute, I'm getting sloppy here. Retrain myself.
We got to go back to square one. Make sure. So, or you catch yourself doing something, and you need to train it out, right? You need to train it back out and make sure that we're removing that unnecessary movement or what have you. Yeah, for sure.
So one of the things that I need to train in, I see this in competitions that I shoot. A lot of people have their front plate bag attached onto their forend of their gun, because they know that they want to go tripod rear for stability for whatever reason. And a lot of those times when you're having to do that, it might be a cattle gate. It might be just multiple heights on a barricade or something or another, but the target's far enough away, it's small enough, you want that extra stability from the rear support. I have not been training front bag on the gun, the plate bag kind of a thing. So then that's at the front of my gun, and the tripod rear is at the back of the gun. I have trained so much on just a single bag that when I'm in a competition, I see other people go into the front plate bag and the tripod support. I'm like, I'm just going to do my single bag, and my rifle's basically at the balance point, and then I have a smaller space to work the tripod in. So that's a hindrance to me. So I need to train on doing that technique more, but I'm not going to implement that in a match until I've trained the piss out of it here.
100%, because the further out that bag is and the further back the connection point to the tripod on the stock is, the more stable the position will be.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to put my bag and my rifle at the balance point on the bag. I'm at a more compressed, tighter spot with that tripod rear if I wanted to do that.
Yep.
MDT, barrel burner.
Yeah.
Truck bed. Tailgate was down.
Yes. That one ate my lunch, man. I timed out for 3 shots on that one.
Did you?
Yeah.
Did you try and go tripod rear?
No, I did not. I went single bag.
Okay.
There's one dude in my squad that did. Alan did it with a tripod rear. And I might be off on this, but I think he timed out, but he only timed out on one target. And I could be talking out my ass here, but he was the only guy in the squad that went tripod rear. Everybody else went single bag.
Okay. Crew in front of us, Okie boys, for the most part, they had set up a tripod for tripod rear with a tack table kind of thing.
Bag on it.
And then what they were doing was bipod down on the rail of the bed, tack table rear.
So the modified prone, basically.
Yeah, and shooting those. And
I've seen Morgan King do that. If you can get it, if you're fast, right? If you're fast with it and you can manipulate your equipment and you can manage your equipment, go for it.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's I think where you're saying training and practice.
Yep.
You're like, hey, I want to start using, don't want to like clamp the butt stock to the tripod in the traditional rear sense.
Yep.
I want to use a tack table and a bag.
Yep.
Well, now we got to manipulate the shit out of that ad nauseum until I know exactly what I need to do to make that work.
Yep.
For sure.
Yeah. So in our squad, got up there and we're seeing these guys do that technique. A few other people in our squad, like, oh, that's working out really, really well for those guys. Maybe we should do the same thing. And I was either first or second shooter up for our squad. And I just went to my straight single bag, get to the tailgate, bipod down, and bipod, rear bag on the tailgate. I wasn't going to try something new. I'd never practiced it, never trained it.
Right.
I wasn't going to try and manipulate all that equipment just because I saw somebody else do it very effectively. Use what I know. That was a single bag. Those shots off the bed rail, I think I cleaned those off the tailgate, working the way out. That screwed me up.
Okay.
Wind was just different enough. I was like, fighting the wind, trying to make good correction. And so, I did okay, but I was hoping to do better off the tailgate.
It's all right, man.
But the bag on
a tough match.
And those ones off the rail, those are pretty small targets.
Yes, they were.
But to me, I know I'm shooting good enough with just a bag on there. That target was within my wheelhouse for hitting those.
Yeah, you got the confidence, might as well do it.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah, so. For sure. What was the deal with your last season in tech class?
Overall excellent results, right? So the 2025 season for me actually started at the end of 2024. Was going to a PRS match. Wanted to start shooting 308 so I could get qualified for the international team, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a match over there, the KRG Windbreaker, to go to. So I came up to your class, spent a couple days shooting with you, went and shot that match. It was one of my kind of spare rifles, if you want to look at it that way, with 308, a short little think it was 22-inch barrel or something on it. 175 Match Kings, Varget, the typical kind of a thing. Velocity sucked. They're 2650-ish, something like that. So slow, and the 175 has a shit BC, but it shot accurate as hell. So shot the windbreaker, did okay. I think I was like 3rd or 4th TAC division at that match, but it was a learning experience for me. Okay. So then I get into the 2025 season. I had a dedicated 308 heavy gun built, 26-inch barrel. Could not get that thing to shoot worth a piss. It was a 1 MOA gun at best. On a good day, is a 1 MOA. Typically, I'm looking at 1.25" type groups. So wow, just kept getting like defeated. I went through so many different bullet powder combinations. Basically stuck with my brass, Lupua brass. I didn't figure that was any sort of issue. I tried different scopes on the gun. I just could not get anything dialed in. Got a hold of somebody else who did a pre-fit 308 for me, Patriot Valley Arms. Did a pre-fit on their Osprey barrel. Got that in for a completely different action that I had. Could not get that thing to be consistent either for some reason. So I got 2 308 guns. Can't get either one of them to really shoot as well as I want it to. Maybe it's 3/4 man. I don't know. But not what a PRS competitor trying to get the highest levels needs for accuracy wise, right?
Right.
But here's what that did for me is it really made me focus so much on my fundamentals, on everything I was doing behind the gun, the recoil management, because I had zero room for error. I had to be perfect because my rifle wasn't.
Sure. Yeah.
You know? And so anyway, I shot 2/3 of the year trying to bounce between those guns, and every week doing load development, trying to tweak, trying to tune, just working my ass off. I remember that I had a match coming up, it was like on Wednesday, and I had to leave on a Thursday. And now I'm running back and forth, you know, from my range, testing this, and just, it finally just said, that's going to have to do. Load up my 250 rounds and take it to the match and crossing my fingers and toes and hoping for the best. That was every match beginning of last year.
Yeah.
Finally had enough of that struggle. There's a local guy, gunsmith, an hour north of me here. He shoots our rimfire stuff. So I was actually talking to him we're at a rimfire match. I wasn't shooting the match, I was just helping Oro. He was helping Oro, we're standing together. So I started asking him questions, whatever, and he said, yeah, you get me a reamer, I'll rechamber a barrel for you. Okay, cool. So I got a hold of PT&G. They had the 95 Palma reamer. I think M852, I think they're interchangeable, whatever. And then I also ordered one from Manson because I wasn't sure. It didn't say in stock on PT&G's website. It just said there, and I was able to order it, but I didn't know if it was in stock, ready to ship. So Manson, I ordered that like a day or two later. I think it said in stock, ready to ship. The PT&G reamer showed up first. So I took one of the barrels, a Lilja off of my primary gun, took it up to Gunsmith up north of me with that 95 Palma reamer. I said, just cut off all the chamber threads, action threads, brand new from there forward, retouch the crown. He had it back to me in 4 or 5 days or something or another. He like whipped it out really quick. Got it from him. Made sure the barrel torque on the action was good to go. I just double check headspace really quick. That's all fine. Slapped it into my my KRG C4 chassis, 65 inch-pounds on the action bolts, threw my scope on top. First test loads I fired were sub half minute. I was like, thank you, God.
It just feels good.
Yes. Okay, so there's a 5-round group. Let me do that again and make sure it's not some fluke, right? Sub half minute group. Awesome. Let me see if I can just tweak this in just a little bit better, try to like a couple tenths grain powder charge, a couple little seed and depth things. Nothing was really making anything better, but I had a solid half-minute gun. Next match, is so much easier. Like the struggle bus, I wasn't missing shots that I knew I should have been hitting.
Right.
The accuracy, those bullets were going where they were supposed to go. And now my fundamentals, my driving the gun was so much on point because of all that struggle before. Yep. Did awesome like the next two, I think 2 regular season matches for the year. Had excellent scores. One of those was back to the KRG windbreaker in 2025 now. Ended up shooting, I think it was a 93% of the match winner with my 308.
Savage.
Yeah.
Savage.
Yeah. At the end of the first day, there was 3 of us in a tie for first place. Me, Corson Piper, and my friend Andy Peterson at that match. Day 2, wind picked up a little bit more, had a couple more just wind correction shots off plate, but it's still a 93% finish with a 308 amongst open guys.
Badass, man. That's awesome.
Yep. So that was like the major confidence boost. Like, yes, I know I belong here. I know I can do this. You know, I've always believed that I could, but I wasn't getting consistent results. I'd win a TAC class match, then I'd lose one by a few points. I'd win another one, then I'd lose another one by a couple points. It's just kind of this little back and forth, and it would depend on who's there. You know, so I was doing okay. I was still getting TAC wins, but come time for the PRS finale, the 25 finale, there were either 4 or 5 of us that had our 3 wins, 3 TAC class wins. Chad Heckler, me, Joe Thielen at Hornady. He didn't go to the finale. He would have been there though. I think Coulter Marriott, I think he had 3 wins, and Matt Steiner, I think, rounded out the top 5. I think that's correct. I could be wrong on one of those. But anyway, so there's 4 or 5 of us going into the finale with 300 points. So at that point, any one of us that would win the match gets the overall season championship.
Got it.
Yeah. So going into the finale, my son Jesse was also shooting. He made it to the finale. His very first year shooting PRS as a junior. He made it to the finale as one of the junior shooters. So me and him just made it a cool trip, father-son, going to the PRS finale, which is got some memories in its own.
For sure, man. That's badass.
So that was over in Pennsylvania at the Geissele range. What a fantastic facility. Their props are solid. The terrain is amazing. The wind is a bitch. When that wind picks up, it's a pain in the ass.
Yeah, I heard that it's converging and multiple terrain features.
Yep. Day 1, we had some sporty winds. So everybody, open class shooters, TAC class shooters, juniors, everybody was struggle bus with those winds. The TAC class guys, all of us having a hard time. Wind was just it was a bear. Left wind here, right wind there, favoring left or right over here. There's one particular stage that there's 2 IPSC targets, and they're far enough away, but they're mostly in the same direction, that a lot of us, we'd be hitting one plate, we couldn't seem to connect on the other, even though there's only like a couple 100-yard difference.
That is so frustrating.
What the hell's going on? And so you're fudging, left or right on the one that you're not, and you're like, come back to this one, got that, ding, next one, fuck, ding, next one. It is this back and forth. That one sucked. So everybody was just having a hard time. So at the end of day 1, did you follow the cheating scandal?
No, not really. No, I didn't really. I knew that there was a scandal going on with impact scoring, that somebody who was involved in the tech stack of the software was involved in moving stuff around and jamming some nefarious shit.
Yep. So I'll get into that in just a second. Yeah. So end of day one, I'm sitting at like 3rd or 4th place
Overall?
Yeah, for the TAC
class.
TAC class guys. Yep. Chad Heckler was 1st. Another guy was 2nd. Somebody else was 3rd. I think I was at 4th. I might have been 5th. Don't recall exactly, but I was down there. But I was down by Chad, I think 7 or 8 points. So, okay, whatever. The wind beat me up today, but I stayed positive. It's not like game over, man, go home at 7 or 8 points. If I'm going to pull out a win, then let's see what day 2 brings. Let's not sweat day 1 because nothing you can do about it. Make sure that all my shit's ready to go for day 2. So looking at the weather at the end of day 1, the wind for day 2 was like dead calm. It was predicting like 0 to 1 mile an hour for like the first 5 hours of the day, something like that.
So you know that there's going to be a high point day anyways.
Exactly right. Yeah. And that's my game, man. I'd been perfecting my technique, my recoil management, everything up until that point. I remember we're in the motel room. I don't think the TV was on, but I had my box of ammo, a couple boxes of ammo, sitting on the little dresser thing with the TV stand. And I just got done looking at the weather. I was like, okay. And I'm loading up my ammo wallets to put in my pack. And I like stood straight up and I was like, I'm going to win this fucking match. I just had this like thought like come over me like, you can fucking do this. You got this shit. Stay tuned. Stay focused. Do your thing. You got this. It is such a weird feeling, like almost like a calm. Like, I'm good.
Sure.
I got it.
Yeah.
All right. Finished loading up my ammo wallets. Part of my process is for the night before, either day 1 or day 2, is ammo wallets get topped off. In the evening time, I top off my mags with my rounds. I'm not worried about spring set. Get those topped off. Those are in my pack. My ammo wallets are in my pack. The matchbook is opened up to the stage that I'm going to start on first. Kestrel gets pre-programmed to that first target distance, whatever I'm expected to shoot for the first stage for that day. So when I show up on stage, it's find my targets. You're ready to start plugging in numbers, get environmentals and all that kind of good stuff, right? So day 2 starts. I'm going to go back to looking at the scores at the end of day 1. I'll ask you a question. When you're starting a match, do you keep track of other shooters' scores in your squad? Is that a mental thing that you're tracking?
No, it's not. And it's probably to a fault. That's another one of those things that I need to start doing more of and just keeping track. But right now, for me personally, I'm focusing on me. I'm focusing on my shooting skills.
Okay. I think that's perfect, actually. So when we started day 1, I'm with other guys that are in it to win it. They're there to pull on a championship, right? I know Chad Heckler's solidly good. He's going for it, right? Matt Steinert, he was going for it. Coulter Merritt, he was going for it. Another guy was in our squad. Like all these guys they're trying to put out the wall, even get the win. So when we start very first stage of the day, I'm a very quiet shooter in the squad unless I'm calling impacts or something. Then I'm barking out impact or whatever the case need to be. I'll help sweet brass. But other than that, I'm generally not interacting with a whole bunch of other people, especially at that match. I'm gearing my process is my head, and I'm not keeping track of what everybody else shoots for a score. I am listening. I'm hearing, I know somebody's shooting. I'll know who's shooting, and I'm hearing people call out impacts, or you don't hear anything. And so I'm building that kind of mental knowledge of he cleaned it. He dropped 4. Like I dropped 2. I kind of have this general idea.
How hard it's going to be.
Yep. And so after about the second or third stage, I know who's going to be a threat for me winning, and who's I can basically not consider a threat to winning. And there was one particular guy in our squad that I mentally checked off as being a threat to me winning the match. So when the day one scores come out, I see that guy's name at like number 2 spot on the score.
Yeah.
So I had this initial like, that it doesn't seem right. Something like, but again, after I kind of mentally dismissed,
I see where this is going.
I didn't keep paying attention to what he was doing.
Right.
It didn't matter.
I just got to focus on me.
Need to focus on me. I know Chad's still doing awesome, as expected. These other guys are doing really well, too. But that guy doesn't seem right. Something's off. Like, maybe he actually started shooting better when I stopped really trying to keep track of what he's doing. Sorry, whatever. Put it out of my mind. Well, it wasn't that big of a concern. We show up on day 2, and it was a concern.
Yeah.
Chad specifically was like, that ain't right. He had talked to that shooter and like, hey, I remember you shooting this one particular stage, and I know you didn't get the score that's on here.
Wow.
How did that happen? And
it's like
he was like, oh, well, something must have got changed afterwards somehow or another. Let me just go in and correct it really quick.
Oh, no.
So he pulls out his phone and makes a correction on the scoreboard stage.
Whoa.
Information gets brought up to match director and somebody else. And so when we started day 2, for Chad, he'd been up most of the night looking at this and thinking about this and knowing something's fucking wrong. To me, I was bent out. I didn't care. It was right in my thought process. I sucked good. Chad didn't. He did super well. So he shows up day 2, stage 1, talks to that shooter, and somehow the information gets back to the match director. Well, throughout the rest of that day 2, so that's the cheating scandal thing. We get to a particular stage. The RO there was already aware of what might be going on. This guy shoots his score, gets whatever points, I don't know, 4, 5, 6, it doesn't matter, whatever his score was, but he missed some. They call another witness over to verify, hey, here's the score, here's this shooter, here's the score that he actually shot, everybody approved, everybody's good with witness, approved it. He checks it for that shooter again because there's question marks. After like the next shooter gets done, that shooter's score is increased by 1 or 2 points.
Come on.
Yep.
Wow.
So, more proof that he's manipulating his scores because he has access to the scoring system. Yep. Yep. So busted.
How could you think? Like, I don't understand how you could think that you're going to get away with that in 2026.
Yeah. He was doing it immediately after he came off stage. He grabbed his stuff, go back to his pack, get into his phone, change the scores, hoping that it would be able to update it before anybody else even looked at it and verified the score. But there was an RO that was aware of the situation and was looking for it to happen.
Yeah, got it.
Happened. So disqualified from the match. Anyway, other stuff. The PRS put out their official position. I think.
And I'm going to comment on that too, because I think that shit's weak sauce. If somebody gets caught cheating, it needs to be public. I don't give a shit. Like, some people watching this podcast might be a little bit too political, but if you're getting caught cheating at the finale, right? Your name needs to be public. It needs to be public. And the whole thing where it's just like, oh, well, we're not going to name names. It's like bullshit. How much do people pay to come do this? How much investment? Like, I talked to Corson Piper. Corson Piper spent $48,000 out of his own pocket in one season to chase these championships. To have Schmuckatelli over here do that? No, man, no. That should be public, and the public opinion should be the one that votes.
Yep.
Right? Period. End of story.
Yep.
Yeah. That whole touchy-feely, I'm not going to do, that's bullshit. Because he didn't care.
No.
He didn't care. He cared, he didn't give a shit about any of y'all's.
No, he was there for him and
Yeah.
fuck everybody else. And so here's the other question. How many other matches did he go to and did the same damn thing?
Well, yeah.
And I'm not tracking him. I don't know what the hell, but the good possibility that he cheated somebody else out of a tech class win.
100%, because how else would he end up there? All right. So, yeah, man, you see that behavior and you just then go, wow. I mean, I've had it happen to me. I've had it happen to me in business. And you see, you have this level of trust, and then that level of trust is violently broken. And then you go, man, like what else was going on in the background that I just was either refusing to see or couldn't see because it was being concealed really well. And then, usually when you do in that instance I'm mentioning, you uncover it, and the more you uncover, the more sick you become. Yeah. And you're just like, what the fuck?
Yep. So I think that whole thing got into Chad's mental headspace.
Oh, I'm sure.
Lack of sleep, confronting another shooter on the spot, and then our very first stage for day 2, I was first shooter up.
Okay.
Dropped 2 shots on the furthest target was 1,000-something yard target. I didn't see my miss, held wind the wrong way, more miss. But the wind was like dead calm. The reason I missed was spin drift. The only thing that could have accounted for that. I wasn't thinking about spin drift as being an option why I would miss, because all the other targets, I literally held center on everything.
Yeah.
And then on to my last target, why would I hold anything other than center?
Yep.
It was just barely off the right. I thought maybe there might have been a touch of wind out there, held a little bit more right.
Oh,
like 3/10.
Okay. And then dumped you even farther downwind.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, okay, noted. Got it. My rifle's dialed in. I'm holding centers on everything at this point. Other people drop much more than that on that stage. I think I'm not going to try and go off memory who dropped how much, but
it doesn't matter.
Yes. So some people that kind of snowballed a little bit. For me, I just kept the fucking train running, man. I also happen to have that luck factor going for me. I don't remember holding wind off plate on that second day.
That's for a 308. That's wild. Yeah.
So either hold the center or maybe shading an edge, one way or the other.
And I can't imagine those targets are, I'm sure you guys the majority of your targets are probably what, 2 minutes to a minute and a half.
Yeah, they're minute and a half ish to minute size.
Okay, even smaller,
Yeah, from what I remember, they're small as they should be. This is the finale fucking match. This is the best of the best. You better come ready to shoot. Right, we're not gonna give you 2.5, 3 minute size plates.
No,
and then factor in the terrain and stuff. But generally, how it went was I'd get up to a stage, ready to shoot. Wind would just center, either clean or drop 1, drop 2. So every stage, I was gaining a point or 2 on the leader. They'd end up having a little bit of wind. They'd have to hold 2/10 on small plates. So missing one here or there. Me, something fucking blessed my ass that day because that wind like shut off like
every time.
Yep. So anyway, very last stage of the day. Now remember, I had this idea in my mind that I'm doing well. I'm not mentally keeping a tally of he's down 5 more than me, he's down 2 more than me. I don't think of that at all. There's a concept in my mind about I'm doing better than him today. But I can't spend my time worried about what they're doing because then that more energy that I'm not putting into what I need to do.
Yeah, for sure.
So I don't score track anybody else in my squad.
Yeah.
So comes the final stage of the day. I get up and it was a like a multi-position, shoot a huge friggin' plate, like 12 positions, yeah, in like 90 seconds or whatever it was. But it was a very generous size plate. So huge plate, barricade multi-positions. The whole point was hit 12 positions, hit the plate under time, right? I already know that the way that I'm going to approach this, I'm probably going to time out. So I just want to hit my impacts that I can make.
Right.
Make solid presses and not get sloppy on the trigger. So that's what I do. I think I had 9 positions, 9 impacts. I believe I did not get off my last 3, I think. As soon as I'm done with that, like time or whatever, I'm opening bolt, dropping mag, and Chad is the first one there, and he's saying, congratulations. I'm like, you think so? He's like, oh yeah, you got it. You only had to hit like so many out of this. Okay. I was like, oh, fuck, cool.
Okay.
Like, yeah, I'm like pulling my stuff off. I'm like, what? Like, seriously? So we're packing up our stuff and other guys are finishing shooting their stage. And me and Jesse are walking back to the car. Dude, I literally like stopped. I'm like, what the fuck just happened? Like it like hadn't really hit me yet. Like, really? Like, I had to made up 14 points just in that one day.
Wow.
And
yeah, that's big. That's big.
Huge jump.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I was also just focused on me. I didn't have the concern about the cheater because I didn't know it was going on.
Right.
I wasn't involved in that conversation. I wasn't thinking about it.
Good thing that you weren't, man, because you probably, if you were, who knows, what that would have done to your headspace.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yep. And quite honestly, I legitimately, honestly feel bad for Chad having that anguish because he's there to win, and having that going through his head the entire, dude, like that blows.
Well, I don't know Chad.
Great guy.
I've heard nothing but the best about him, and sitting with Francis and talking with Francis. And if those two are like buds, right? So I can only imagine that the Chad's character is the same. And, Chad took part in uncovering something that needed to be uncovered.
Absolutely.
Right. So did it cost him a bullet? Yeah, it cost him a bullet, but in the grand scheme of things, the betterment of the community was the goal at that particular point in time, right? So, Chad's ability to kind of see, because of his attentiveness to the detail of everything and the way his mindset was, if he was in the same mindset as you, where you're just like, you were just focused on you and I'm not worried about what else is going on around me unless it's a condition that I have to account for to put a bullet in a plate. I'm not worried about what's going on around me. Whereas Chad he's watching everything because he's probably, he's well inoculated to the stress of competition. He's in that mindset, and that's just the way that's just the way that it went down that day.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think the RO that knew about it also, I think he might have known something beforehand, but Chad discovering it was the huge,
right,
realizing what was going on. And so then when I think back, I was like, yeah, so I was right. And my initial, like, why is that guy?
Yeah, weird.
That doesn't seem right at all. Even though I'm not tabulating his scores, like just knowing and having a general idea how well he's shooting, he shouldn't have been up there. So,
well,
anyway, yeah, I think for me, it all just kind of came down to my mind and my focus was 100% on what I was there to do. I was there to do a job, and that job was bring home a trophy.
Well, and you did that, man. You absolutely did that. That's badass. Congratulations.
Yeah. Also, if I hadn't had the accuracy of the gun, I wouldn't have that.
Yeah.
Ain't no way, not that match. So the equipment definitely played a role.
For sure.
And then just everything kind of came together.
Yeah, you had a great weekend. Yep. Yeah, you had a great weekend. Luck was on your side, and it was your time. And I certainly agree with that. Like in this world, especially shooting tac class, like conditions matter, and what condition you shoot in and when matters.
Absolutely.
Right. So, it's just the way of this world. I don't think that you can ever make anything, unless, back in the day, you remember we used to shoot a lot of paper in competitions.
Absolutely.
We used to shoot a lot of paper in competitions, and now you don't see it anymore, right? You might have the AccuShot challenge here and there
That's it. Yeah.
That's pretty much a dead thing now. So, the 100-yard stuff is the only way that you can really eliminate all of that stuff, right? From the luck perspective. But man, that's awesome, dude. I can only imagine what that feeling was like, and like your incredulousness of going, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's great.
I knew I was doing well. I wasn't positive it was that well.
Yeah.
So
always a pleasant surprise, right?
absolutely. Yeah.
See, I got some coaching from Geissele, and he asked me the same question you did. He's like, "Are you paying attention to other shooters' scores?" And I'm like, "Nah, I just try to pay attention to me." And he's just like, "You should really start thinking about that. Start thinking about that if you're gonna try to be more focused and more competitive." And so that's definitely something that is important, and it's also like, just as a tangent of this conversation, it's important because of what you were able to discover as a result of that.
Right. Let's play that into another aspect. I'll keep trying other people's scores. Is your mental maturity to understand what's going on.
Yeah.
So if you're in this level of, I'm here to win, and oh shit, that guy just cleaned it, I better clean it too. And if you don't, then you're beating yourself up.
Right.
Over it, then that just screws with your head.
Absolutely.
All the time.
Absolutely.
But if you got the mindset of, okay, I dropped a shot tone, oh well, I'll make it up next time. I'm going to focus on the next stage, and not let it get to you. If you keep dropping a shot here or there, say, okay, well, whatever, he's doing good, I'm going to do the best that I can now, and focus on that instead of, I should be beating that guy.
Yeah.
How come I'm not beating that guy? I know I can shoot as good as
yeah. That's
then it just really starts to screw with you.
Totally. And that's the wrong mindset to begin with, even at the beginner level, right? Like, it's like, you got to be able to get past that. And
yeah,
that's your own ego taking control of your psyche and saying, yeah, we're going to go dance for a little while.
Yep. And then it's in charge of your entire presence.
Absolutely. Everything. People say they're like, oh, you need to leave your ego at the door. It's like, dude, it doesn't work that way. Your ego doesn't go anywhere with you but you.
Yeah.
And it's actually there to protect you. It's actually there to keep you safe in the grand scheme of things. But it's also a menace when you allow it to be.
Yep.
Yep.
You gotta know how to manage that and find ways. Train your mentality how to disregard a lot of that stuff and just focus on what you're there to do. And if we're there to have fun, rock on, man.
Yeah. To have fun.
Just have a good time. Bullshit with people doesn't have time. But if people are focused on their blast and they're clearly trying to focus, don't come up to them and start a conversation.
Yeah. That's,
then leave them alone. Step back, be quiet, talk to somebody else, whatever the case may be.
yep.
Because a lot of people are there as a job.
For sure. Yeah.
They're there to do something, and it's important to them. Maybe.
To them, anyways. Yeah. Absolutely.
So TAC class. Let's talk about TAC class a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would like to see more people getting into the 308. It's a great cartridge. It's not that efficient. The ballistics kind of suck, but it really teaches you a whole lot if you dedicate to doing it for more than just one match. If you're just going to shoot one match with a 308, just to go see how he goes. You're probably going to struggle. You're also going to learn a lot if you let yourself unlock. But it would be a great way to get other people shooting the 308 into the game, I think. Plenty of match ammo available from all sorts of manufacturers if you don't want to reload. And if you can learn to drive that rifle with that recoil, your management, your handling of the wind, understand that you can have more drop, oh well. You have a little bit more wind, oh well, they're just numbers. Learn how to manage all of that. I think it'll make you a better shooter all the way around.
Agreed.
One thing that I think the PRS could do differently, and there's some trade-offs, there's some back and forth on a lot of this, but take a look at the open class shooters. Tons more open class shooters than there are any tac division shooters. Any match, you go from 0 tac shooters to 4 or 5, right? But what if we're going to start handing out trophies to more than just the first place 308 guy? Maybe give it to the top 3, because they give like top 5 to the open guys, right?
Fair enough.
Okay, there's probably 5 times more open guys, but at the same time, if somebody wants to shoot tac, if somebody really, really good shows up to that match, that person probably like, well, I'm definitely not getting a trophy. That guy's here, right? But maybe if there's a second and third place, maybe people would be a little bit more incentivized to go try and shoot, because people love the trophies. They love having something put on the wall, show their kids when they get home.
Yeah, they're great trophies nowadays, man. Super awesome.
Show their buddies. Even at the PRS, the finale match, the cash payouts. You got at least the top 5, I think, open guys. You got the singular top sportsman, singular top junior, singular top tac. Although there's lots of other junior sportsmen's tac guys that could be incentivized.
Sure.
Come and participate. I understand the numbers aren't quite there, but we promote it to get those numbers there.
Right.
We glorify the open guys. That's supposed to be the best of the best.
The F1.
Let's put it. And if you're 308 shooter, are we just some sort of lesser species?
Right. Yeah. Fair enough. I don't disagree.
Yeah.
I don't disagree at all.
So I'll get into the...
You're a lesser species.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll get into the U.S. team selection for this year for the World's Championship. They had a point threshold that you had to meet. You had to hit a certain number of matches, 2 qualifiers, a certain number of just regular PRS matches, 1 finale match. You could not use a finale match as also a qualifier.
Okay.
So it's just 1 finale match, 2 qualifiers, and the other ones. And then with their hybrid scoring system, all based on how well you shot compared to the winner, compared to how many shooters were actually there, and then your placement relative to all that kind of good stuff. So yeah, how the number of shooters comes into play is if you got 5th place out of 100 shooters is different than 5th place out of 200 shooters.
Okay. Yeah.
So that factors in. And there's a weight to that, right? So they had a certain threshold, 470 points that you had to make to get on the TAC class team for the World's Championship. There's 2 308 shooters that were tracking their scores to get onto the team that made more than 470 points. There was myself at, according to the hybrid scoring thing and everything, verifying scores with the United States IPR committee, whoever that is. I had 462, so I missed it by 8 points. Coulter Marriott and Matt Steiner were also in there. I don't know their exact points, but not 470, right? When the team selection announcement came out, I wasn't on there. I was figuring, given national championship, the scores that I submitted, I had 1 score on there that I thought was a qualifier. It was not, and that's my bad.
Okay.
Not tracking that. So I used one of my other qualifiers, the highest one I had. And so instead of having like 475 points as I was expecting when I submitted my application, they knocked it down to 462.
Okay.
I didn't know that they knocked it down until after the team announcement had been made.
Oh.
The emails and everything on there said that we would be notified if any change to our score were made.
Got it.
I was not notified.
Yeah.
I didn't find out about it until like that day. I emailed the director. I'm like, hey, I didn't make the team. Like, and his response was, oh, no, you didn't have the points. I thought I had the points. You know, I had like 470, whatever it was on there. He's like, oh, no, sorry, we forgot to email you. We changed your score. Your one qualifier you had on there was the qualifier. We used this other match qualifier that you had, so I put you under the threshold. And then he sent me the little rules justification. So on the team selection for the tech class guys, the limited division, if you didn't have the 470 points, the little rules say that they can select from the open shooters.
Okay.
Attack class or the limited position. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of insulted at that. Because at that point, it wasn't we will select open shooters to fill the limited division.
But we can.
But we can. So that means their discretion. They can choose who they want.
Right.
And ultimately they did. They put in 2 other guys who, as far as I know, didn't shoot any 308. But they're open guys, open shooters, good open shooters.
Yeah, because they're hedging their bets that they're going to be that spot that they're taking on a world's team is going to be a performer that would theoretically be able to fit whatever requirement.
So what am I as a 308 shooter because I didn't meet that threshold? Am I suddenly just suck so much worse than the other guys just by default?
Fucking Nick, just wipe your shit off the floor, man. Come on.
I don't want to sound like a whiny bitch, but that's stuff that was going through my head.
No, it's irritating. Those are irritating things, right? Yeah.
So in the end, their rules, I can put on the team who the hell ever they want to. I didn't make the points. That's on me. The shot here, shot there, whatever, adds up.
Yeah.
Had the points. So as far as this year, that shit's off and gone. The guys are going to do great things, go represent the United States. They're going to do what? Mm-hmm. Just wish I was there to help. Right. That's what I was shooting 308 for all last year was that position.
Got it. Yeah.
And I just got given fuck you. You're not good enough to be on the world's team. You're good enough to be the national champion, but you're not good enough to represent the United States.
That's a tough one to swallow. The logic doesn't really line up.
Not in my mind.
Yeah.
It lines up in somebody's mind.
For sure. Yep.
So anyway, so this year I've already got 4 TAC class wins. I wouldn't say they're hard. There was other TAC shooters at each of them, but their placement was so much further down the line than mine. It wasn't like we were 1 or 2 points.
Right.
It was a pretty good spread. One of my matches, one of the most recent matches, I was at 95% of the match winner with a 308. I could shoot a damn 308 pretty fucking good.
Sounds like it.
Other ones were like 86. I think one of those super windy matches, I was at like a 75-ish, something like that. I've had a 90% at the beginning of the year of the match winner. I was the Desert Tactical, Desert Chaos.
Okay.
90% of the match winner there, that was Austin Bushman. Champ. Mm-hmm. If I can hold 90% with my 308 against Austin, I'm feeling exceptionally good about myself.
Yeah.
That match.
Yeah, for sure.
That guy is a machine. Mm-hmm. He's on the world's team, absolutely. Yeah, got to be there. But I also feel that I could be there on the 308 side of things. I don't suck. No. So I already got like 4 TAC class wins. I got 3. Technically, I got to shoot a qualifier with my 308 for all that to count. Mm-hmm. So I'll go find one of the qualifier matches to shoot through right there. Mm-hmm. Cover. The rest of this year, I'm planning on shooting open. So talking with you, yesterday, today. I've been fighting supposed to be my open gun, 6.5 Creed, trying to find something that's going to shoot to the level that I want it to shoot. If I don't get that up and running, I got a match in 2 weeks. I'm just going to classify it as open with my 308. I'm not going to worry about tactical anything. I know I can shoot well enough with my 308 against the open guys. I can start getting open class points.
Good for you, man. Good for you.
At what point I get my regulars open gun built and run to the level that I want it to, then I'll revert to that.
Slide it back in.
Yep. If I ain't up to the standard, then I'll register as open and shoot my 308 anyway.
Well, we got some promise. The groups we shot today, we got some promise with that gun.
Yep. Yeah, it's been a struggle with me on that one for some reason or another. Just multiple different powders, charge weights all across the board, seating depths I've tried, just struggling with it. But
well, we got
this last batch looks like.
Yeah, we got 2.5 grain window in a full grain window that you could pick, right?
It seems like it's good.
Yep.
But it was still kind of doing this 3 together, 1 slightly out.
Yep.
2 here, and whatever. There wasn't just one.
A little clustering.
Like almost like I wanted to do a double grouping, but there's all in 5-round groups. Say we put it to a 10, might be more concentric, everything kind of evenly spread.
For sure. Yep.
So when I'm doing my load development, and my initial stuff, just to try and find a charge weight, I do 3-round groups. Once I kind of narrow in on this charge weight, then I go to 4-round groups to verify final load that I think is going to work. It's a 5-round group. As long as that shoots good. Shoot another 5-round group. Does that shoot good? Then let everything completely cool. I go back for a 10-round group. Just solid 10 rounds.
See where it goes.
Point of aim. See how it groups up. If it's good there, then I'm happy.
And
those final tests I'm doing at my 160 yard thing, not just 100 yard. I'm doing 160, so that I can see a little bit bigger dispersion.
Yeah.
And that's usually what I'm trying to tune in, the seating depth of the bullets.
Right on.
So I got fairly high standards for what I want right now.
You can't not in this day and age with rifles. I mean, you could always, doesn't matter what time period, like the more accurate your rifle is, the more forgiveness that you have in everything. Exactly. Right? So understanding what good enough is, and then allowing your brain and your mind to accept that is good enough, and we're not worried about that anymore. We're just going to worry about fundamentals and breaking clean shots and making sure that we're in tune with the conditions.
That's right. Yeah. And for me, all I'm looking for is a very solid half-minute gun. I would need the .2s, the .3s. I need 10 rounds, solid half MOA.
I would agree with that.
For me, rock and roll.
Yep.
Let's go.
And if we can have an ES in that 10 shots, if we can have an ES of 25 feet a second or less, for me personally, that's what I'm looking for. Yep. Right? If I can do that, running the numbers on vertical spreads out there at 1,200 yards, that's good. Yep. Right?
Yeah, 308 load I've been shooting this year. Actually, I really do want a type bit tighter, but the performance on steel has been amazing.
Right.
It's hit what I point those bullets at. The standard deviations over a 10 shot group, I like a 5 or a 6 or something.
That's awesome.
Like that.
That's awesome.
So that's Alpha Brass, Vidovorian 150, Sierra 177 Match Kings, and they're like 2770.
That's great.
Last year's load, same stuff, but I had them at 2720. This year,
man,
I'm getting run another 50 feet per second.
50 feet a second with a 308 matters. It matters. Yeah.
Yep. So I was going to take it. A little bit of pressure. The primers are starting to get flat, but it's well within
acceptable standards on hot and cold spectrum. We're in there where everything's good. Yep. That's it. Yep. Now that's it. Once that's done and you don't have to worry about it, that just relieves so much pressure and so much stress, right? Yep. Knowing that your gun shoots well, it's predictable, it's going to behave, and I know how to keep it predictable. Yep. That's it.
Yep. Do you clean your barrels in between days?
No, not between days.
No. I run at least wet patches through the bore.
Yeah.
At a minimum, 4 or 5 wet patches, and then dry everything out. I swab the chamber. Sure, that's all clean of carbon and stuff. I wipe down inside of the action, wipe down the bolt. I want that gun feeling like it's brand new and clean
Just the same, yeah.
at the start of day 2.
I will make sure that the rifle's operationally clean, right? Like you said, the chamber, all of the bolts, like make sure it's lubed and make sure that the gun's running smoothly. But I typically will not touch the bore. I'm going to show up. I'll show up to the match, or if I'm going to confirm zero and I'm going to validate my trajectory either the day before or the morning of. Either way, if it's a day before, that rifle is going to show up with a clean barrel. I'm going to shoot it, follow it in on the zero board, and then tune my trajectory at distance. And that's happening either the day of or the day before.
Yep.
And that way I'll get through, I'll have the barrel be good for about 250 to 300 shots before I want to clean it.
Yep. At the end of the day, when I'm usually I end up brushing 5-10 passes with a brush. It's not going to do enough to change the fouling, or it's going to affect my zero.
Sure.
But it's just enough to kind of get that looser stuff built up, get it the hell out of the barrel, and make sure everything's going to be over for day 2.
That way there's no surprises, right? You don't have anything. You're just like wondering if the hammer's going to drop on you.
Yep. Before I go to a match, I'll usually clean the barrel really, really well. I'm not lapping it fully, but I'm brushing it probably 50 passes back and forth.
Okay.
A bunch of wet patches till they come out clean. I might do a second batch of like 50. I want that barrel basically clean.
Nice.
There's still going to be some carbon that's built up in there, but this will help make sure that I'm not getting a carbon ring in the neck. The bulk of the junky crap in the bore is out. I'll put 30, 40 rounds on it here at the house. Zero's good to go. Everything's fine. Not worried about that. I show up to the match. Now, there's been a couple this year. The check-in day, Friday, windy as hell. Look at the weather prediction for Saturday morning, wind is calm. I'm not even going to break out my rifle and do anything to validate trajectory on the windy ass day. You're just going to be fighting yourself.
That's fair.
That actually kind of bit us in the ass last year. So, okay, lesson learned. I'm not going to do that shit on a windy ass check-in day if I can still check in and zero
Early in the morning.
early on to Saturday. So what we're doing now is, if that's the case, we're always asking the match director, are you going to have confirmation steel at distance Saturday morning before the match starts? Because then I want to hit zero, and I want to hit 1 or 2 targets at distance.
Totally.
To verify that.
Make sure everything's good.
Yep.
I agree.
So what we've done here, and it seems to work really well for us, is 700 yards. I want a single spot, 700 yards. I don't want plate, though.
Like a rock.
Give me a rock.
Yep, a base of a T-post or something like that, real fine that I can see.
That I can see a 10th deviation in
I get
elevation.
it. Yep.
That's what I'm looking for. If winds are light, 5, 6, 7 mile an hour, more than acceptable. I can deal with that. We get all that plugged into the Kestrel because you're going to have a little bit of that AJ going on. So take all that into account, and I want to make sure 700 yards, my elevation is exactly what Kestrel's telling me needs to be, with all the wind and angle and everything taken into account. Make sure that my turret is set to that 100%. And I have not had elevation issues with my rifles since I started doing that. Ben, that's really important, and it's great. That's good for your mind, right? You can walk into that event and know that everything is fine, and you don't have to worry about it. Yep.
So, what's next?
Match in 2 weeks from now.
Yeah.
Not showing my rifle just yet, so my fairway's fucking rocking now.
Right.
Grab that out and shoot open. I got other matches planned, but overall intent right now is to get 3 open wins. I got my 3 TAC class wins. See how that works out.
Right on, man. You're gonna crush it, dude. You're gonna crush it. You're flying high. You know exactly what you need to do. And you know exactly how you need to do it, and you just need to replicate it.
Yeah. I figure if I can shoot 90, 93, 95% with my 308 of the match winner, put me on an open gun, there's a little bit of wind deviations, might still keep me on plate. That's all it's going to come down to is those slight little wind fluctuations that play hell on a 308, but a higher efficient BC bullet should keep me on plate. Hopefully keep me on plate. Yeah.
Well, dude, I'll be paying attention. I'll be paying attention, and I'm going to be slowing my travel down a little bit, and I'm going to be home, like meaning like I don't have to travel anywhere far for training. So this summer, my son's back at home this summer. He wants to do a little shooting, and I plan on hitting as many local matches up here in the PNW as I can.
Yeah. Yeah. So I want to integrate with you because you're trying to get into competition more, down more, right? Dude, me and you need to link up and like motivate.
Yeah.
A bit more, work on different training things. Again, training, not just go out and burn rounds as practice, but training. Here's what we're going to work on. Type of the thing.
I agree.
So
I'm looking forward to it based upon, all the conversations that we've had up to this point. I'm looking forward to it. And I'm excited for this season and then 27 and 28.
Yep. Yeah. So for 27, we'll see how this year shakes out. I think it'll go well. It doesn't go exactly how I want. That's fine. It's a learning year.
Right.
Fine. You got to have those. But the whole point is learning, getting better, progressing as a shooter. And then 27 will be probably more intense.
Yeah, for sure. Because I would like to take a run at the regional in 27, the regional series in Pacific Northwest, and this new PRS series has me interested as well.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting take on it, and I like that.
Yeah.
I've always been that type of guy where it's just like, I'm going to go do what everybody else isn't doing. I like doing that sort of thing.
So I've always been there's a challenge in front of me. Do I want to accept the challenge or not?
Yep.
And this is one of those challenges that I'm directly putting in front of me. Intentionally.
Yeah.
Now I got to go get it.
Yep.
Right. So having that focus, that mental drive and willingness to do it, that's hard to maintain for an entire year.
Oh yeah.
Work comes up, family comes up, other issues, kids, other sporting events. But this is what I do.
Yep.
Shooting is now like a solid part of my life, at least for now. Might not always be. Making kick-ass products comes first. The bulk of my day is manufacturing. The last few hours of my day are kids and family and cooking and whatever, and I eke out maybe an hour a day, if that,
of shooting,
to being able to shoot, train, load, test, whatever.
Yeah. But
the entire time that I'm loading, tweaking this or that, I'm still on the gun, just still getting in the breath cycles, the trigger presses, the follow throughs, all that stuff still helps.
Yeah.
Well, whether I'm hitting barricades or not, still helps.
Agreed.
So, once I know my open gun is shooting how I want it to, then it's hitting barricades, hitting props, and training new techniques that I need to work on, like front plate bag and rear tripod. And I'm going to train the shit out of that until it's like my go-to and no longer I'm going to shy away from it, but totally comfortable doing that if the need arises.
Yep. Awesome.
That's my focus here.
We'll build a training plan and we'll stick to it, and we'll be accountability partners.
Yeah. So, and that always helps when you got somebody else to help motivate.
Yep.
It's super rough to keep yourself motivated. You got somebody else that you're accountable to. Really helps.
Absolutely.
Because then certain personality, like I don't want to let myself down, but I also really don't want to let that other person down.
Of course. For sure.
And that's a large part of my family as well, is I don't want to let my family down. So with business, I need to make sure my customers are being taken care of, because that's my livelihood. That's my family life. That's our livelihood is business now. So do everything I can to have good customer service, make kick-ass products. And speaking of which, we need to make you a CanChap.
Well, let's go make a CanChap.
Let's make a CanChap.
Right on, man. This was a lot of fun, Nick. Yeah, this is great.
Yep.